stretch of the N2 highway. Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis has today made the announcement during a speech in council saying the urban mobility budget will be increased by 7 million rand this year. A further 108 million rand will be allocated to the project next year to cover the bulk of the construction.
This project will not only repair safety barriers and install new ones, it will also bring various other safety improvements for adjacent communities, including new pedestrian crossings, improved lighting, safety barriers for recreational spaces, safer grazing practices for livestock, and reduced spaces for illegal dumping.
Hill-Lewis says it's not fair that a small number of criminal elements are impacting the safety of thousands.
The N2 Edge project will improve safety alongside the city's beefed-up highway patrol unit, with 45 new Metro cops deployed to the N2 late last year, backed by CCTV cameras and other safety technology.
Close to 3,000 motorists on the N2 between Langa and Firgrove have been assisted by city officials since September 2024. Gold's trading at $5,538.14 an ounce. The rand's at 15.74 to the dollar, at 21.73 to the pound, at 18.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $69.92 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic is a bit sluggish in Hermanstad. This is on Eskiam Pahlele between Vormhagen and the R18. Otherwise, the rest of 702 lane looking good. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights. That's in the Edenville area at Botafontein Road and the N3.
In your sport, Elena Rybakina sets up Australian Open final against Irina Sabalenka. Serena Williams refuses to rule out tennis comeback, and Kaz achieves up to second following a crucial win over Maruma Gallants.
Look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in Gauteng this afternoon with scattered thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 27 and 30 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Tshwane Mayor Nasipi Moya has assured the Auditor General the municipality will smoke out corrupt officials within its employ.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Nine minutes past 3, 702 Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. When the Madlanga Commission was set up, President Cyril Ramaphosa promised that the inaction that always seemed to follow the inquiry, previous commissions were anything to go by, would not happen in this case. Today has seen the first indication of that, with the National Task Team set to investigate an act against a list of individuals who have been named. What should we make of this? I have some concerns, I have to say, that I will share with you later. We'll talk about that shortly and then again in more detail after 5. In other stories, why do so many public servants spend months and years on full salary after being suspended for mismanagement and financial abuse of public money? It's all too common, and we are very keen to understand why. Prof. Somadoda Figeni, head of the Public Service Commission, will join us after 4. Hijacked properties and the law. How does the law work? It would seem, well, it doesn't really work at all. All too easy to do, very difficult to stop, and extremely hard to unravel. More on that at 10 to 5. And right now, we'll find out whether we're going to get an interest rate cut or not. The Reserve Bank Governor has been on TV talking. Stephen Curtis has been in our studios and listening, and he joins us now. Stephen, what did the Monetary Policy Committee decide?
We know our governor, I'm afraid, John. Good afternoon. Yeah, it's a hold, so interest rates will stay exactly where they are.
Okay.
Various reasons for that. He says if you look at where inflation is, you look particularly at the rand being stronger than we expected and oil prices coming down quite nicely. That market's in an oversupply phase at the moment. It does mean that there might be, I suppose what he's reading between the lines is there might have been space to cut. But he also says the outlook is still uncertain. They do say that inflation's definitely come down, and that's quite important. So goods inflation is at 3%. Goods core inflation is at 1.2% in South Africa, but services inflation is still at over 4%. And they want that to sort of come down to 3%. They do expect low inflation to become the norm and everyone's inflation expectations to come down quite dramatically as well. And when that happens, that means that people ask for slightly lower salaries and things like that. 2 people wanted a cut of 25 basis points. 4 wanted to hold, which is exactly in line with expectations from some of the reports this morning. 2 other things I must just mention, John, that the governor mentioned. The one was that global imbalances have become very large. He says China's trade surplus last year was over $1 trillion. And he says that government debt is growing fast in what he described as key economies, and the U.S. fiscal deficit, how much their government owns, is now approaching $2 trillion. Here's the quote. These trends, says the governor, are not sustainable. And you see it in all sorts of different ways. So you see the value of the dollar going down,
Right.
the rand going up, the gold price going up because of the dollar debasement trade. You also see Chinese cars on our roads. Talk on the Money Show last night of bringing in tariffs. That's because of the Chinese trade surplus. In 2020, they exported 1 million cars. In 2026, they're expected to export 6 million cars.
From 1 million to 6.
1 million to 6
Oh, my
million.
goodness.
When I first read
Okay.
it, I actually had to go and find another source. But
yes.
yeah, that is the case. And so that is what the governor is talking about, is that kind of trade surplus just isn't sustainable over the long run, and neither is U.S. government debt. He hasn't said anything about this because that's not his job, but the National Treasury has suggested in the last few days they expect our government debt to come down quite nicely, and if we get a lot more platinum and gold value into the country, that'll help bring down that debt as well.
Less debt, the amount of money you pay on interest declines. That money could, in theory, he says in block capitals, be used in hospitals, schools,
Yes.
etc. Because, of course, we have another problem that we know as corruption. Quick one, Stephen, just for clarity. You said goods inflation, services inflation. So goods inflation would be a pair of shoes, a cupboard, etc., etc. Services would be what? Medical services?
What you're doing right now.
Okay.
And the reason for that, by the way, largely speaking, is because of what's called the situation where China exports deflation to the world. Let me just sort of use the cars as a good example. New car inflation in South Africa last year was 1.6%, the lowest since records began in the mid-2000s. The reason it's so low is because China is exporting so many cars and so many of them are coming here. It's not just China, by the way, India too. And so that's why one of the reasons goods inflation is so low. Appliance inflation is actually negative. If you buy an air fryer now or wait 2 years and buy an air fryer then, your air fryer then will be cheaper than it is now, probably, if everything stays the same. But with services, Karabo needs a salary to read the traffic or to
Yes.
push the buttons, and as a result of that, those salaries are not going. We don't have deflation for that, obviously, and as a result of that, that services inflation is still quite high. Services involve someone doing something for you, whether it's your nails or whatever it is.
Okay, right. Well, that's fascinating. Not good news then if you were hoping for a change in the interest rate, obviously in the direction of making it cheaper so you can service your debt more easily and have some money to invest in your life and the lives of people around you. Not going to happen this time round. More on that, I'm sure, later with Stephen in the Money Show between 6 and 8. Detailed analysis coming up then. It's 3:15.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let me just give you the rest of the market news. Gold price continues to climb, currently trading at $5,539.40 an ounce. The all shares up by 640 points. Actually, the financial index, not resources, as is normally the case, that's up the most, stronger today by 1%. Stocks leading the pack include South 32, up by 3.5%. BHP, the company from which it was spun off, up by 3.1%. And Redefine is up by 3%. Woolies having a rough day, down by 5.9%. Sappy's down by 5.4%, following on from a difficult day yesterday. The Rand continues to rock, trading at 15 Rand 74 to the dollar, a gain of 14 cents over the past 24 hours. A euro will cost you 18 Rand 11, 23 cents stronger than this time yesterday, and 21 Rand and 72 cents will get you a pound. Our currency is 17 cents stronger against sterling. Brent crude up today by $1.25, currently trading at $68.78 a barrel. That oil price casting something of a cloud on an otherwise very blue skies day and week, and possibly even month in terms of the rand and gold. Stephen Critis with us with all the market news at 25 past 4. By the way, on that dollar price, 15.74, when I first visited the United States in 1977, there was also a 74 in the exchange rate that I paid for the dollars, except it was 74 cents. 74 South African cents.
Yo.
Got you a dollar. Those were the days, hey? Of course, I think I prefer my life to my 18-year-old life, but there you go. Sport with Tola Kelly Mganga coming up at 20 to 4. Maki Molapo back with the very latest news headlines. That's on the half hour. Karabo Chali is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land and we don't know about it, please let us know. You are our eyes and ears. We appreciate it greatly. And even if you want to just get in touch and say, hey, missing the point, stick, wrong end, we appreciate your opinions as well as your info. Get in touch with us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. 18 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
We have lots to talk about then over the next almost 3 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes more or less. Plenty of things to inquire about and lots to think about, including some of those random thoughts that either just pop into our heads or come out of something that happened during our day. Well, Rifue Litsua putting the show together with Jonathan Kabazela Fairburn. You had an interesting taxi driver today that raised a question for you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So my driver today, his name was Hillary. So I thought it wasn't...
E-hailing, eh?
E-hailing.
Yeah.
Hillary. And I just thought maybe that's not how you say it. Maybe it's a hi, Larry, or Hillary.
Larry.
And then when I called him by his name, I'm like, am I saying it properly? Because I also didn't want to be weird about it. Because for me,
Yes.
I'd never met a guy called Hillary. I know I've met a Tabo, a Tabiso that's female, but never a Hillary. So he was like, no, that's the name. You got it correctly. And he smiled and said, can I start the trip? I'm like, yes, put Hillary. And we went on. He was
Yeah.
Zulu.
Okay, so what comes to mind for you? I mean, there are many, certainly a lot of African names. I think Mpole Rato, a couple that come to mind for me. Karabo. In Anglo names, I'm thinking of a few. Dale, Vivian. You get men who are called Vivian, not many. You get many more
And
women,
Graham.
I think.
I recently met a Graham. She was Xhosa. Well, she
Okay.
still is Xhosa. Her name is Graham. I was like,
Okay, that's pretty unusual. So lots of examples, but what's on your mind out of that? Is it, do people treat you differently once maybe it's a phone call and they've clocked, you are Mpo but you're a man or a woman, you are Hillary but you're a man, or what is it?
I think there's definitely that confusion, John, because I also get confusion over my name, but I don't understand why, but it is what it is. And I always get, hello, Khotman, hello, chief, or whatever, but I always think I'm a man before they go. So it does pose a bit of confusion. For me, it confuses me, because I'm never sure whether it's a miss or a sir, especially if it's like a Mpo or a Karabo, and even sometimes the voice can throw you off.
So Karabo... just to be clear, Karabo Chali, because we have Karabo Malapile in the studio as well. I mean, if you're getting a call from somebody who doesn't know you, hasn't met you, but knows your name, once they've established that you're a man and not a woman, does anything shift or subtly change? Do you get spoken to differently as a man?
Not really. I haven't picked that up, but they'll always be like, Karabo Moroka. I thought isn't that a woman's name? And I'm like, I have to explain myself. But but the attitude doesn't change. But I remember there was a colleague of ours whose name was Shannon. And yes,
man or woman?
It was a man, yes. And then my next door neighbor, we had a Shannon, which was a girl.
Yeah.
So I only knew Shannon to be a woman. And then when they said Shannon is going to be joining the 947 team as a traffic person, and I thought it was a woman. I genuinely I was expecting to see a woman, and then when I saw a guy, I was like,
saying, "Hi, girl, welcome."
Yeah.
Okay, so give us your stories, please. We'd love to hear from you. Neo says, my uncle is Khumoso, comfort in English. Tsepo says, it was shocking to learn that the name Tsepo is unisex. And Karabo says, people assume I'm a woman even when they see my profile picture. They assume that the man in the photo is my husband or partner. Okay, interesting. Very interesting indeed. I didn't think of that visual element to the conversation. Coming up on 702 Drive, we're going to go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, and we are going to be talking to News 24 journalist Karen Morn, the head of the Hawks in KZN. Major General Lisicha Sinona is still on his third day of evidence, having started day one saying, sorry, I can only be there for a day. The Commission took care of that fairly swiftly, and here he is well into day three. That's coming up in a moment.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So, Karabo Charlie, what's happening on the roads? I mean, it's a little bit early, but maybe you've got some stuff we need to look out for.
No, it still remains fairly quiet around 702 land at this stage, John, but it is peak hour traffic, so things are picking up, particularly if you're heading towards Pretoria in Midrand. Traffic is a bit sluggish on the N1 northbound. This is between Ellendale and Samrand. There's also traffic lights not working still in the Midrand area at New Road and 16th Avenue. There's also faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers Nodia and the N1 North. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
The G20 Summit is a stepping stone towards a brighter future for the city. Josie My Josie has launched the Babize Bonke campaign to shine a spotlight on some of the extraordinary champions who are reshaping Johannesburg from the ground up.
I'm Dr. Taddy Blecher, CEO of the Maharishi Invincibility Institute. Through our programs, we have raised over 800 million rand for free education, helping formerly unemployed South African youth to enter the job market. And we've had a 95% average job placement success rate.
Josie My Josie is making the invisible visible, giving the voiceless a voice. It's a movement for the people, by the people, creating a city that we can proudly call Josie My Josie. Come see how Josie does it. A city that's alive, ready, and rising. Prime Media and 702 are proud sponsors of Josie My Josie.
If you're still thinking about one more trip before your calendar fills up, this is your sign. Fly lift from Johannesburg to Cape Town from just 1,190 Rand. Complimentary snacks, drinks, and the kind of flexibility that makes travel feel easy. So whether it's a quick reset, a weekend away, or a last summer escape, catch a lift. Book now at lift.co.za. That's from 1,190 Rand. T's and C's apply.
The Checkers Hyper Price Drop is here. Save up to 40% on deals like Nola Mayonnaise 750 grams, any 4 for 149 Rand. Save 51 Rand. Dower Egberts Instant Coffee, 400 grams for 279 Rand. Save 71 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply toilet rolls, 24 per pack for 159 Rand. Save 31 Rand. Deals valid until this Sunday, only at Checkers Hyper.
Running a business can feel like a solo mission. I mean, you've got the hustle. If only your office Wi-Fi was your employee of the month. Turn on your success with Telkom Business, the partner that always shows up. Get a reliable 25 by 25 megabytes per second connection with Stream Connect Fiber for only 489 Rands per month.
This summer, Your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that connect your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Naked people are totally zen because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time meditating. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
You keep your brain trained like a well-oiled machine. Now it's time to put your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts.
In which country is the famous statue Christ the Redeemer?
Enter now on PrimeMediaPlus.com. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with John Perlman. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day. Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand and a spot in the finals to compete for the title of the Brain of 702 and an awesome 30,000 Rand cash on 702. TCs and more on PrimeMediaPlus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, let's go straight now to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where the Hawks head, Major General, Lisicha Sinona, is now in his third day of testimony. Joining us for an update on that, Karen Morn, legal journalist at News 24. Karen, a very good afternoon to you. In the midst of all the stuff around Kat Matlala and the internecine politics of the South African Police Service, what seems to be a very difficult patch now for the Major General is half a ton of cocaine that was stolen on his watch from a safe that, I'm just looking at your notes from this, had been broken into 8 times, including 3 of them while he was head of the Hawks. And yet he said, oh, let's put the cocaine there. How is he explaining this, if indeed he's managing it all?
Well, this was the biggest section of his affidavit to the Commission of Inquiry. And, we have no sense at this point, John, why it is fixated on this with the intensity that it has. But given that this is an individual who freely admits he was a quote-unquote close friend / big brother to one Vusi Musi Kat Matlala, who we have heard previous evidence, boasted about his alleged involvement in the drug trade to the police officers who interviewed him, it is somewhat problematic that there appears at the best for this police officer to be rampant negligence in terms of the handling of these drugs, which, by the way, have never been recovered and amounted in value to a street value of a staggering 200 million rand, in circumstances where we now know that the police had flagged that Port Shepstone office where the drugs were kept as a potential safety risk precisely because of all these break-ins, one of which happened the month before the coke was stolen.
It is quite astonishing. I mean, he has been struggling earlier in the sections I watched this morning. I had it on in the background for a good few hours, Karen, to explain some what appear to be quite simple questions around his relationship with Kat Matlala. Is he any more bullish in dealing with this drugs issue? I'm watching the TV. He appears to be perhaps a little more confident, but I'm not sure, A, if he is, and B, why.
Well, basically what he said is, look, I did everything that I could. I really had no reason to believe that there was anything problematic about this. I was the person who wanted polygraphs of all the officers who were involved in that drug theft. And at one stage, I think he mentioned the fact that General Nkulunazi had himself been involved in that drug bust. But it is a very, at the best for him, rampant negligence. And he, of course, previously was questioned at length about why he didn't undergo a polygraph test when he expected all his officers within the police force to be subjected to a process which we know in South Africa actually doesn't carry any legal weight. And at least now we know that there hasn't really been any concrete action. He today remarkably saying that he believed it was an inside job. But of course we know that no one has actually been arrested or charged over this.
Yeah, and it really does coincide with what appears, and certainly the commissioners have remarked on this, a rather casual attitude to some very serious stuff happening on his watch. Just a last one, Karen. While I think we were around midday in the session today, news came in, it was probably a little bit earlier, of a special task team being set up, which I'm sure you know all about. 5 policemen at SAPS are have been named in the interim report of the Madlanga Commission, and the task team is meant to look into them. Immediate criminal investigation and urgent decisions on prosecution is the wording from the President's office. Major General Sinona is on that list. Have you had any indication, either explicitly in the proceedings or in any other way, Karen, that A, he and his legal team are aware of it, and B, whether they are perhaps considering some options in the light of it?
Well, when they were aware of it, I have established with his lawyer, Rudolph Beloy, that he knew about this since last week.
Okay.
We have seen a pathology with this team of raising issues about access to evidence that in a way I feel may be grounds for potential legal action if the findings that are potentially adverse to him. But I think the horse has bolted, and I think the WhatsApp histories with Kat Matala in particular, the fact that he was forwarding documents and receiving documents including alleged personal information about President Cyril Ramaphosa, which he claims to not have read, I think there will be glaring questions over his continued status as a police officer. Of course, he retires in a year and a half. But the big thing to remember, of course, John, is that there's one sizable name that's absent from this interim report and the adverse findings, and that's, of course, the suspended police minister, Senzo Mkhunu. So, you know, we know that there was a lot of alarm raised by the commission about his conduct in relation to the disbandment of the political killings task team. But in terms of these immediate referrals for criminal investigation and legal action, they aren't happening. And Ramaphosa doesn't at this stage seem to be making any moves on the police minister.
Thank you so much. Karen Morn. Karen, keeping an eye on things. If you're not near a TV screen and you are a subscriber to News 24, she's doing rolling coverage and updates, very concise. So that's another way of following, which has been something which I think has been an absolutely intriguing process for many, many reasons. 28 minutes to 4. Okay, let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Maki Mulapo, starting with small matters of money and interest. Maki.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. We begin with news just in. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has kept the repo rate unchanged, making it the first pause in a stop-and-go trend. The MPC announced its latest policy rate decision today following this week's marathon meeting. The decision to hold rates is in line with market expectations, with economists predicting a cautious tone from the central bank amid some global uncertainty. This means the repo rate stands at 6.75%, while the prime lending rate is expected to remain at 10.25% when commercial lenders confirm their rates. We move to the National Assembly, where the former head of finance and the police's crime intelligence unit, Diani Hlungwane, has told Parliament that he was targeted by former Minister Bekicele for refusing to sign off on the purchase of a grabber for the ANC's Nasrec conference. Hlungwane is giving oral evidence before the Parliament ad hoc committee investigating police corruption and has told MPs about his dismissal in 2024. He believes he was removed because of his anti-corruption stance. It's the third day of public hearings before the ad hoc committee. Babalo Ndenza has more.
Diani Hlungwane was the head of finance for administrative services in the police's crime intelligence unit before his dismissal. Hlungwane, a chartered accountant, alleges that corruption and cronyism is widespread in the police. He also told committee members Bonelo Nomvalo that his problem in the police started after he refused to approve a cell phone grabber for the ANC's 55th conference.
So you are saying because you refused to buy a grabber or to authorize, then thereafter you became a target. So the conference was in December.
Hlungwane says this was the only reason.
And the national commissioner, he told the national commissioner, and I was not transferred. But the attacks started from there. After attack, after attack, after attack.
No, I see.
Hlungwane also tells the committee that he was paid 6 million rand while sitting at home during his suspension. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says the party's national executive does not support the attempted removal of Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero. Morero is facing another motion of no confidence in the City Council today, this time brought by Al Jama'ah. Speaking at a media briefing today following this past weekend's party, Lekgotla, Mbalula says the ANC is looking for stability ahead of the local government elections. He says the party has engaged its coalition partners to iron out sticking points around governance and not to be dictated to about who the mayor should be.
We are focused now on the task. We want to destabilize government 10 months before the elections. We don't know when the elections will take place, but we presume that it will be in November or December or wherever time that it will take place, but it's 10 months. All political parties are now focusing on their tasks in preparing and gearing themselves for local government. We are busy here destabilizing government. To bring a new mayor, what is that mayor going to do?
Morero lost his position as Johannesburg Regional Chairperson to Loyiso Masuku last month and has written to the party's executive complaining of vote rigging. But Mbalula is cautioning against allegations of electoral irregularities, saying evidence appears to be scant.
So this notion that a conference that was democratically held, successfully so, is under attack is just absolute hogwash. And those in the ANC who are doing this and leading the charge without, a water of evidence are just ill-disciplined.
And China has executed 11 people linked to Myanmar criminal gangs, including key members involved in scam operations. The Ming family members were sentenced last September for various crimes, including homicide, illegal detention, fraud, and operating gambling dens. The centers are usually staffed by foreigners, including many Chinese, with many saying they were trafficked and forced to swindle people online. In April, the UN warned that Chinese and Southeast Asian gangs are raking in tens of billions of dollars a year through cyber scam centers. A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in Gauteng this afternoon with scattered thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 27 and 30 degrees.
Midrand heading towards Centurion, traffic sluggish. N1 northbound between the Between Interchange and New Road. While in Rand Park Ridge, look out for those faulty traffic lights at Bayes Nodia and the N1 North.
The top story in Eyewitness News this hour, it's news just in. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has kept the repo rate unchanged, making it the first pause in a stop-and-go trend.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I think as South Africans, we have a high tolerance for nonsense. We have a high tolerance for abuse. And I don't know how we could change that. Because we're good with complaining. We're going to be outraged. All of us. Outraged about how our taxes are being abused and how corrupt these senior officers are. But what do we do about it? How can it be? How can it be that many of us, none of you have called in and said, hey, I'm a happy taxpayer, Clement? None. How can it be that so many of us can be unhappy taxpayers in this country and we do nothing about it? How can it be that we are so unhappy as taxpayers? We do nothing about it. Let's think about that.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
South Africa's musical theatre classic Marabi returns on the stage of the Market Theatre with an exceptional cast. Launching the theatre's 50th anniversary year, this much-loved play with live music is directed by original cast member Arthur Molepo. Set in the tough Doornfontein yards of the 1930s, Marabi follows a family chasing hope in Johannesburg, bound by love, loss, and unforgettable music. Marabi runs from the 29th of January to the 15th of February. Visit markettheatre.co.za for tickets.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Asi Shege be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score. T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. The same can be said with the Italian name Michele, which is spelled Michele. And if you read it in English, you think it is Michelle, but in English, Michelle has two L, So mostly there are a lot of Italian men with the name of Michele, and you'd think it's a woman, only to find that no, it's a male name, Michele.
John, many African names are unisex. Names like Mpo, Karabo, Newa, Lebogang, Tshegofatso, they are unisex. Yes. So don't be surprised to hear somebody by the name of Mpo. You're expecting a woman and it's a man. Mpo means a gift. All right. Thank you very much. Taru from Tiptof.
Yeah, thank you. Please do keep those coming. We're just talking about names that are that can be used or are used for both men and women. And your experience of that, has it caused any confusion? Do people speak a little differently? Does anything shift once they realize what your gender is? Mulalo says, my name is Mulalo, which is unisex, but people somehow just assume I'm a girl until they phone and speak to me. And we've got quite a few others as well. Let me see one more. Marlon says, regarding names, I was surprised to find that the name Jocelyn could also be attributed to men. Yes, indeed. It's another good example. I was going through a couple of Anglo names and I didn't come up with that one. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Let's do sport.
EWN Sport.
Australian Open women's final is settled. The men's to come tomorrow. Tola Kele with the tennis news and some football too. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And Irina Sabalenka is through to the Australian Open final after a 6-2 and 6-3 win over Elina Svitolina. Victory sees Sabalenka become just the third player in the Open era to reach 4 consecutive women's singles finals at Melbourne Park. She'll face Elena Rybakina for a chance to win her third Australian title. That's after she beat Jessica Pegula 6-3 and 7-6.
You have to just go out there and do everything you can with what you have today. I feel like every time when I look back in the form when I was good, I'm trying to kind of like replicate that form, which is not good. And if you ask how I feel right now, I feel good about my tennis. I feel that everything that I've been working during the preseason is working, and I'm happy with that. And I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Serena Williams has refused to rule out returning to professional tennis after recently filing the necessary paperwork. Williams retired after the 2022 US Open, and in December last year, the International Tennis Integrity Agency confirmed she was back on the list of players registered for their drug testing pool. At the time, she insisted she wasn't coming back, but during an interview on the Today Show, Williams didn't rule out stepping back on the court. Over to the Betway Premiership, where Kaizer Chiefs have moved up to second place following a 1-0 victory over Marumo Gallants. That moves them 2 points behind leaders Mamelodi Sundowns. Co-coach Cedric Kaze has discussed the significance of their victory as they look to end their 11-year title drought.
It's a big win away from home on a very difficult field, and but we didn't want to complain about the field or to feel sorry for ourselves. We are a big team. We need to play in every conditions that we find ourselves in, and I would say that it's a big win. What I saw today, I'm not quite sure that there is a lot of teams that are going to win on the field.
Real Madrid missed out on automatic qualification for the UEFA Champions League knockout rounds following a 4-2 defeat at Benfica. Holders PSG also slipped out of the top 8 as they could only draw 1-1 at home to Newcastle United, a result that left both sides facing a playoff. For the teams who finished 9th to 24th, they'll learn who they'll face in the playoffs in tomorrow's draw. And in netball, South Africa will play England in the first of 3 test matches tonight. Proteas coach Jenny van Dijk says the series forms part of their preparations for the upcoming Commonwealth Games.
We understand, and it's also important for us that the players understand what it really takes to be the best in the world and what that the qualities are and how you play the game and just the standard that they need to be able to uphold. So for us, it's a part of the bigger picture for us, and it's something that we need to do and want to do frequently. It's not something that we'll shy away from anytime soon.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Traffic in a moment, but speaking of cars, you may have heard yesterday, and Stephen covered it quite a bit on the Money Show, coming out of government a suggestion that tariffs on vehicles imported from China and India should be substantially hiked, and this to try and protect the South African motor assembly industry and all the companies that work both upstream and downstream, making various components and contributing to what has for many, many years been a very robust industry. Very interesting indeed is that the group CEO of BMW, who is also a leading figure in the representative body NAMSA, is saying actually we don't want high tariffs. There's a whole lot of other things that could be done to fix the problem. Peter van Binsbergen will be joining us at about 4:10 for his thoughts on that. But as I said, it is time for traffic.
EWN Traffic.
Eyewitness Traffic with Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. So far, so good, eh, Karabo?
Yeah, I must say, it remains fairly quiet, John, on our roads throughout 702 land. Just one hiccup, though. If you are traveling through Midrand, heading towards Centurion, traffic is a bit sluggish on the N1 northbound. This is between the Baclue Interchange and New Road. Also, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Alex at London and the N3, as well as in Rudaport at Christian Tivet and Paul Kruger. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers, and baths to basins, taps, tools, and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a Plumlink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza. Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 minutes to 4. We've been asking questions about names that get used for both men and women, boys and girls, and a lot of you, and I've just been interested. I mean, when people are not entirely sure if you're a man or a woman based on your name, what shifts when they establish exactly what's what in the conversation and potentially in the relationship? Give us a call on that on 011-883-0702. We've had a couple of responses. Kagiso says, intriguing. I dated a girl with the same name. Kagiso and Kagiso. K squared. Did you have a nickname, like a shared nickname for the two of you? Rafilwe says, I'm Rafilwe. Growing up, I didn't like it, but now this is my favorite name as a boy. Tolakele name only for women, or do you get men called Tolakele?
I've only known it to be for women, but I remember back when Bernadette Wicks used to work with us, and then she was telling me a story one day about how she was having a conversation with her husband, Jeff.
Right.
And when he heard my name, he thought it was a guy name. And it wasn't until Bernadette actually went, oh, she. And it was like, oh, that's a name that automatically in his head, he thought it was a name for a man. And that was the first time that I'd really thought about the fact that it's not easy to pick up whether it's for a man or a woman. But from my Zulu culture, a lot of the times it's just used for women.
So if you get a message, and it would obviously be in a text form, because if it's a call or voice note, you'd get a sense of the voice. But it says, call Umpo. called Lerato. I mean, do you lean one way? I mean, do you think Lerato tends to be women but could be a man? Mpo, probably 50-50. I mean, I'm just wondering, do you even compute or you just get in touch and take it from there?
Both of them, I would assume, are women. But sometimes I always say, hello, to whom it may concern. And then from there, they will just let me know where they fall.
To whom it may concern is definitely gender neutral. So keep those coming, please, on 0727021702. Got this one from Zanele, who says, I have a girl's name. So people refuse to use it and give me nicknames, either Z, I don't know if that means Z or Z, ZJ, because your Zanele's surname begins with a J, J-A-Z or J-Z. That could work. Give us your thoughts, please, and your stories on 011-883-0702. Linda Lani says, my name is Linda Lani. It is unisex, but people always believe I'm a man. 702 Drive, 9 minutes to 4.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Are you previewing a holding of the repo rate as is at the moment, or are we likely to see a 25 basis point rate cut this afternoon, do you think?
I think it's going to be a very tight call, but I do think that the majority of the members will vote for a rate cut later this afternoon. Hopefully we see some welcome news, 25 basis point decline. It's not guaranteed, as is any monetary policy decision, but I do think there's scope for them to cut this time around.
Isel de Skeper is a senior economist at the Bureau for Economic Research.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Water infrastructure vandalism has tragic and dangerous consequences. The theft of manhole covers can result in fatalities, especially among children. And each damaged pipe, illegal hookup, or vandalized pump jeopardizes access to clean water, disrupts service, and threatens public safety. Report suspicious activity to the City of Johannesburg at 0800 002 587. Help combat water infrastructure vandalism. Your alertness can prevent disasters. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Is your skin itchy, flaky, red or discolored? You may have a fungal skin infection. Turbane treats a variety of fungal skin infections, like skin thrush, a red and itchy rash with small pimples, usually in damp skin areas. Ringworm, a ring-shaped, sometimes itchy rash. Athlete's foot, itchy, red, discolored or peeling skin on your feet or toes. And jock itch. Turbane kills skin fungus, and you only need to use the cream once or twice daily for 1 week compared to other 4-week treatments. Ask your pharmacist about Turbane cream and say goodbye to fungal skin infections.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurance FSP. TCs and information online.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
7 minutes now to 4 o'clock. Now, last year was a big one for the Dis-Chem Foundation as they continued rolling out health, nutrition, education and hygiene support to communities across South Africa, working closely with partners nationwide, including us here at 702. At the center of that work is something they call the Million Comforts Campaign, an initiative that's spent a decade restoring dignity and care for millions of learners. Now, as the campaign enters its 11th year, it's stepping into a new chapter with a more holistic approach, new logistics and implementation partners, and an even bigger focus on long-term impact in the communities that they serve. So let's talk about this, first of all, and welcome to the show one of the new partners in the Million Comforts campaign, The company's called CJ Distribution, and Christopher Williams of CJ Distribution is joining us. Very good afternoon to you, Christopher. Thanks for giving us your time.
Hi, good afternoon, John. Great to be here. Thanks.
So my understanding, CJ Distribution, you're in the pharmaceutical business in terms of distribution, if I'm correct?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So a long relationship with Dis-Chem already. You would have known about the campaign. Now you're deciding to get involved with it. What got you over the line?
Yeah, so John, I think it starts with one word. It starts with the word hope.
Mm-hmm.
Hope is a part of my own and our business's DNA. We believe that business should do more than move product. It should also move people forward. Therefore, you'll see when you look at our trucks on the road, you'll see it's not about product or price. We carry messages like relax, we've got this, soar to new heights, rise above the challenges. So it's messages that inspire, cheer up, or bring hope. Hope becomes real when it shows up in everyday life, we believe. So as we know, South Africa is a country of incredible resilience and potential, but it's also a country facing deep challenges currently. So many communities are under pressure from unemployment, inequality, and limited access to basic resources. And in that environment, hope isn't a luxury, it becomes an essential. So hope fuels belief, belief fuels action, and we believe that action creates change. So for someone in a vulnerable community, hope can look like access to essential products, dignity, relief, or simply the feeling that you haven't been forgotten. And that's where the partnership for me is so powerful. The foundation brings the heart, they bring the compassion, they bring the mission, and we bring the capability and the infrastructure to get it to where it is needed. So our role as the distribution partner means that we're not just standing on the sidelines, we're actually actively being involved and enabling hope. And I believe that when organizations, especially business, choose to partner for good, we send out a very powerful message to you that you matter and your future matters. And that message alone can have people see the hope of tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, that makes complete sense as they hear that. Let's bring in Jacqueline Kalberg, who's regularly with us as we discuss the work of the Dis-Chem Foundation, and she's a key part of that organization. Jacqueline, Million Comforts, you're making some changes, very much focused in its earlier years on the distribution of sanitary products and the critical difference that makes for young women who are not going through all the difficulties of those not being available to them. But I prefaced our conversation by saying you're doing some different stuff this year. What are you adding?
So going into our 11th year, hi John, sorry. Going into our 11th year, we've noticed over the years the exclusion of the boys. So whilst they don't have the need for sanitary pads, they do have the need to be included in our new holistic approach to learner empowerment. And over the years, I've slowly started to include the boys when we do go on distributions with other health and hygiene products. Now what we're bringing to the party for all the learners, and this is something that I feel quite strongly about, is not all the children are academic.
Yes.
Unfortunately, their circumstances allow or force many of them to drop out much earlier than completing their matric.
Yeah, big problem.
Doesn't mean they're not bright, doesn't mean they don't have skills. So what we're bringing when we go and do our distributions with our new partner, our implementation partner, which is Community to Career, which is exactly that. We want to take these kids from their community where they're not necessarily academic into a career with various partners. And Suzuki have also joined this phenomenal partner, and we have Unilever. Those are our strategic implementation distribution partners. We're going to offer all these children access to health services, hygiene and health education, mentorship and life skills development, financial literacy. These children don't understand it, and career pathway guidance and exposure, which will fall mostly to Community to Career.
Just briefly, if I can pick up on something you were saying in the beginning there, Jacqueline. I mean, it seems to me that if you involve boys in initiatives, even if the initial intention of what you were doing with the Comforts campaign was aimed at young girls, is you offer an opportunity to create little bridges between boys and girls, for example, in a high school, where instead of the boys thinking, oh, well, this is just for girls, I'm going to carry on in whatever the bubble of my world consists of, I would think there are going to be some intangible benefits, but real nonetheless.
Absolutely. They also want a chance to be seen, to be heard.
Yes.
the emotional and psychological taxation. The boys, they have body odor. They may not have they don't have the finances to get a roll-on or a deodorant. Toothbrushes, toothpastes, menial things that we don't even think about. Some years ago at Willow Crescent, I handed out to the boys and the girls. This is how I've started with the inclusion, is a bar of soap and just a few sanitary necessities. And this young man came up to me, I think he's in grade 8 or 9, and he said, "This is the first time I've ever had my own bar of soap," which it leaves me heart sore.
Yeah, but it's a big step in the right direction. Thank you to both of you, both for your time and the work that you do. Christopher Williams joining us from CJ Distribution and regularly with us as we talk about the work of the Dis-Chem Foundation. Jacqueline Karlberg joining us on 702 Drive. Please remember you're part of this. Every swipe of your Dis-Chem Better Rewards card helps support the incredible work of the Dis-Chem Foundation. If you're not a member, visit dischem.co.za to find out how you can join the Dis-Chem Better Rewards program. Every swipe counts. This is 702 Drive. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Interest rates left unchanged and confiscated drugs stolen over and over at a Hawks depot. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo. We begin with the latest from the Central Bank. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has kept the repo rate unchanged, making it the first pause in a stop-and-go cycle. The MPC announced its latest policy rate decision today following this week's marathon meeting. The decision to hold the rates is in line with market expectations, with economists predicting a cautious tone from the Central Bank. 4 of the 6 MPC members voted in favour of a hold, while the other 2 dissenting policymakers voted for a 25 basis point cut. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago says it was a tough balancing act in the face of changing conditions.
Currently, we are benefiting from low goods price inflation supported by factors like the stronger rand. By contrast, it is desirable to have services inflation moving closer to 3% as low inflation becomes the new normal. We assess the risks to the inflation outlook as balanced. Against this backdrop, the MPC decided to keep the policy rate unchanged.
In the capital, the Madlanga Commission has heard about how the Hawks' KwaZulu-Natal storage facility in Port Shepstone has no alarm system or CCTV cameras. This after at least 8 break-ins at the facility in which large amounts of seized drugs were stolen. The revelation was made during the testimony of Provincial Hawks head Lesetja Senona as he was questioned about the facility. The most notable incident was the theft of 541 kilograms of cocaine worth 200 million rand in November 2021. Evidence leader Adila Hasim read out a document that highlighted the shortfalls in terms of security at the Port Shepstone facility.
1, no CCTV cameras are installed in and around the premises. 2, there's no early warning alarm systems in place within the office space, more especially in offices located on the ground floor. 3, no beam sensors located exterior to the office accommodation.
Meanwhile, in the National Assembly, the former head of finance and the police's crime intelligence unit, Diani Hlungwane, says cronyism is embedded in the police. Hlungwane told Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption today about why he was removed from the department and how certain jobs were earmarked for friends. He told the committee that he was dismissed because he refused to approve the purchase of a 45 million rand grabber at an inflated price to benefit the ANC. Baba Londenze has more.
Tiani Hlungwane's submission before the ad hoc committee focused on his removal from crime intelligence and how he became a target. He alleged that a portion of the 45 million rand purchase for the grabber would have gone to the ANC for its Nasrec conference. Hlungwane also says acts like people being appointed by their close allies are a normal practice in the police.
What I can say is that cronyism is embedded in the police.
He alleges that former Commissioner General Kehla Stole also appointed those close to him.
It happened even with General Stole. When he got there, the first people that he appointed as Deputy National Commissioners, the very first people that he appointed as a National Commissioner are two deputy national commissioners who were his very close allies, you see.
Rungwane also submitted that the intelligence secret fund is also prone to abuse. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
The NPA says it cannot intervene in the incarceration matters of alleged crime boss Vusmusi Kat Matlala, who's desperate to be moved from the country's tightest security prison. Matlala, his wife Tsakane and 3 others made their first appearance in the Johannesburg High Court today for a pre-trial hearing. They face attempted murder charges related to a hit on Matlala's socialite ex-girlfriend Tebogo Tabejane, businessman Joe Sebanyoni and musician Sienki Mukubung, known as DJ Vetis. Today, Matlala's lawyers pleaded with the court to intervene and make an order for him to be moved from Ebongweni prison, where he was transferred to last month. But the NPA's Pindim Janondwane says they cannot interfere with the work of correctional services.
Ours is to ensure that he's subjected to a fair trial. He attends court, and correctional services made an undertaking in the statement that they released in December that detainees will be attending court without any hindrance, and that legal processes will continue as they should.
And Mozambique has officially relaunched its Total Energies gas project. The relaunch comes 5 years after the project was paused due to a deadly jihadist attack in 2021, which killed an estimated 800 people. The project is expected to generate thousands of jobs and help make the country one of the world's biggest liquefied natural gas exporters. Critics have warned that this project is a climate bomb that would bring little benefit to Mozambicans, many of whom live below the poverty line. Gold's trading at $5,514.34 an ounce. The rand's at 15.71 to the dollar. At 21.69 to the pound, it's 18.78 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $69.90 a barrel.
In Midrand, we have slow-moving traffic. This is on the N1 northbound heading towards Tshwane. This is between the Between Change and New Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Polshof, at Witkoppen and Main Road.
In your sport, Elena Rybakina sets up Australian Open final against Irina Sabalenka. Serena Williams refuses to rule out tennis comeback, and Kaz achieves up to second following a crucial win over Marumo Gallants.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 15 degrees and peak at highs of 25. Pretoria is also at lows of 17, reaching highs of 28. Verenigings at 16 and 28 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has kept the repo rate unchanged, making it the first pause in a stop-and-go cycle.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. Great to have you with us on this Thursday. January almost at an end. The year has already gone pretty quickly, I must say. It's been full of important news. It's been full of very interesting and important things happening as well that have consumed our attention. All that stuff around the scholar transport and the big holes in that system. Now the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in the news coming out today that the presidency, or President Cyril Ramaphosa has already taken steps on the first interim report, and that some people will be in the very sharp focus, we hope, of a task team set up to look into whether criminal prosecution of them following what's emerged at the Commission should follow soon. We'll be talking about that after 5 o'clock. We'll also be taking a look at the kind of inaction that I think drives many of you crazy. The news that somebody who has very much been in the center of allegations of financial mismanagement of public funds, sufficiently so that they get suspended, and then somehow they remain suspended for sometimes years on full salaries. What's wrong with the system? Public Service Commission head Professor Somadora Figeni will be joining us to give us a sense of how that system can be tightened up, how it can muscle up. 9 minutes past 4 on 7:02 Drive. In a moment, we're going to be talking about car imports what can be done to protect the South African car industry. BMW South Africa Group CEO Peter van Binsbergen joining us for that in about 3-4 minutes' time.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. How you doing? Yeah, good show. So, yeah, in Shona, in the Shona culture, I have two unisex names. So my names are Tatenda Nyasha, and Tatenda is a unisex name. It means thank you. So it would be similar to Siyabonga. It would be similar to Malebu. And then my other name is Nyasha, which means grace, which unfortunately when translated to English is a girl's name. But yeah.
Dumela Ntate John. My name is Linda. Now, when I was a youngster at school, young girls used to laugh at me. I said, "Oh, it's a woman's name," and I used to get cross, and I didn't like this name. But when I grew up, only to find that there's a lot of Lindas, like Lindam Nisi and Lindam Tembu and all that. Then I really like this name now. Thanks, Linda from Shawelo. Cheers.
I can definitely imagine. I'm just thinking back on my days of covering football. Linda Buthelezi would have done wonders for anyone who might have been teased for having the name Linda. He was a fearsome and formidable and highly effective midfielder. Jama Cosmos first and then with Orlando Pirates, as I recall. Terrific footballer. 11 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's go out onto the roads now. Get an update from Karabo Charlie. Midrand is starting to get a little bit clogged up. What's happening there?
Yeah, it's just peak hour traffic, John. Heavy delays heading towards Pretoria. N1 northbound. This is from the Bethune interchange to New Road. In Germiston, also traffic a bit sluggish. This is on the N17 eastbound, heading towards Boksburg, Brakpan area. Between Rondebolt and Osborne. Otherwise, generally things not looking too bad. No serious accidents have been reported at this hour. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Polshof at Witkoppen and Main. Traffic lights still not working in Rand Park Ridge at Bears, Nodia and the N1 North. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Hey, Minister, a record 10.4 million international visitors last year.
Yes, we are indeed very excited. South Africa was chosen as one of the most beautiful places on earth for people to visit. Another level of confidence as it goes to tourism infrastructure investment. The French luxury resort brand Club Med will be opening in KZN in June this year. That was a public-private partnership of 2.5 billion rand. So that shows confidence in our country.
Patricia de Lille, the Minister of Tourism.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Did you perhaps miss the Mahindra 3XO festival last year? Well, don't worry, because this March, that festival, bringing together art, fashion and music, is back. And in the 2026 version of the Mahindra Fusion Fest, you will get to see iconic music artists. Z, Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Zoe Mudija, Mafigi Zolo, Kurt Darren and Claire Johnston. You can see Blackie and Maglera Doughboy, and the Tshwane Gospel Choir will be there as well, alongside many others. So it's all happening. Get your diaries out, just make a note of this. Saturday, the 7th of March at the Sunbet Arena. I say get out your diaries because it is on for one night only. But not only can you win tickets to the Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026, but at the end of the night, you could also be driving off in a Mahindra 3XO of your very own. So to enter, go to your nearest Mahindra dealership and test drive the Mahindra 3XO. While you're doing that, grab your tickets at Ticketmaster now and get ready for a cultural revolution at the Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026. Venue again, Sunbet Arena. The date, again, 7 March. Powered by 702. T's and C's apply.
A man driven to the edge. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you're with. When his beloved takeaway was taken away. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will eat you.
It's the summer of stars at Simply Asia. Stand a chance to win a Toyota Starlet when you spend 200 Rand or more on our famous flavors. Order now. Simply Asia. Connecting the Thaiway.
Naked people smell expensive because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums and more money on fancy French colognes with names they can't pronounce. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And because it's all online, it also costs less. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start smelling like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, a lot of the conversation about the economy in recent weeks, unsurprisingly, I suppose, has been about gold and the gold price. The strength of the rand has come into it as well, and the rise in the oil price is a factor too. But one of the things that is a very, very important underlying topic that perhaps doesn't always get the attention it deserves is the state of the South African auto manufacturing industry on the one hand, and then the implications of what has been a substantial influx into the market of both Chinese and Japanese imports. Now, this was all brought into sharp focus a little bit earlier when Deputy Trade Minister Zuko Godlimpi was in a parliamentary sitting on Tuesday and said that they were looking at really ramping up the tariffs on both Indian and Chinese vehicles. One might have thought that the motor manufacturers in South Africa would have said good, but in actual fact, they're saying, well, no, that's not what we need at all. And to talk about this, we're joined now by the Group CEO of BMW South Africa, Peter van Binsbergen. A very good afternoon to Mr. van Binsbergen, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Tell us what you're saying is the remedy if tariffs aren't. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Indeed, the topic was discussed in the portfolio committee, and I was there in the discussion. And what happened was the Commission of ITAC quoted that the bound rate, as it's called within WTO, would be 50%. And I think that's where the number came from. But this wasn't requested by the auto industry, and neither was that a topic that was actually agreed in the discussion. It was simply a statement that's where it could go to. So I think that's important to note. I think it was quoted in some press that was decided, but it not at all the fact. It was simply a quote of where it could go.
It's interesting nonetheless, and even though the debate was sparked or the conversation by a misunderstanding of what actually happened in the committee, some people instinctively would think that you would want greater protection. But I'm looking at quotes of comments you've made, and you are saying that there are other remedies as well, and that you're looking for government to, and the phrase used is targeted auto policy adjustments. Tell us what those are and why they might work.
Exactly. Okay, the auto policy in South Africa is a very intelligent system. And what we asked for when we were there on Tuesday was to look at the various factors in the policy and adjust them in a balanced manner, so to avoid any unintended consequences. And I think the one unintended consequence of increasing duties to a very high rate would be the increase in prices for the consumer, and that would affect both us, the local manufacturers, and the pure importers. Because remember, a company like BMW manufactures the X3 in South Africa, but we import the rest.
Right.
So I think it's important that you need to look at the big picture. And so the things we're talking about is, yes, maybe take a look at import duties, but nothing radical. Let's take a look at the topic of ad valorem tax. That was designed as a luxury tax on cars many years ago. It hasn't moved over years, even decades. And so due to inflation and price increase, even the cheapest car today attracts ad valorem tax, a luxury tax. So we said, look at that, move that curve. We've proposed other measures like allowing the local manufacturers to rebate their ad valorem tax with the duty rebates we gain by producing in South Africa. That would help the price attractiveness of locally produced vehicles. And we've also talked about closing the SKD loophole for light vehicles, so light commercial and passenger vehicles. It's needed in South Africa for the medium and heavy commercial vehicles, so trucks, because they haven't got the economies of scale to produce locally to the full extent we do. But there's no need for a SKD loophole for passenger car vehicle production, and that exists today in South Africa and creates a very skewed playing field.
So, in terms of all of those, I mean, people are listening, I think, with a great deal of interest. Does government, though, move quickly enough in making those changes? And I don't know if they're tweaks or they're substantial adjustments, but my sense is, for example, on the framing of an e-car policy, if I'm using the shorthand term, forgive me for that, there's been some frustration that government is not swift enough. And all the while that happens, I would have thought productive capacity and jobs move into greater and greater levels of vulnerability. How do you feel? Do you feel that those conversations are underway in earnest?
I feel they're underway in earnest, and we had a very good day in the parliamentary subcommittee, and it was an entire day spent on the auto industry. So I think it's in earnest. It's not quick enough. You're absolutely right. If you look a number of years ago, 2 out of every 3 cars in South Africa were produced here. Now it's 1 out of every 3. So the trend has been going for some time, and we need action now fairly urgently. And the new energy vehicle policy has taken a long time. You referred to it just now. We've talked for a couple of years on that now, and clarity is needed and pretty rapidly. So I think it's happening in earnest. It should happen a bit quicker. But what is important is if you adjust the policy like I've just described, you do need to do some calculations to make sure that there aren't any unintended consequences either for the consumer or for the fiscus or for the industry. And that does take a little bit of intelligent calculations, but I believe working together we can get to the ideal sweet spot pretty quickly.
In terms of, I mean, you obviously speak wearing your hat as BMW South Africa Group CEO, but you also head the, if I'm correct, the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa. And in that position, you would have a sense of all the players in the industry. Are the impacts of the competitive presence of Chinese and Indian manufacturers felt very differently depending on the level at which cars are priced, for example?
Certainly they are. They affect the industry very differently depending on which part of the industry you play in. And you see it as well in which brands are effective. You just look at the sales trends over the last year and a half. So it is a differentiated effect, no doubt about it. But I think, we've got to look at the local car market. We've got to boost the local car market to increase sales, and that's why affordability remains important. We can't ignore that. And at the same time, we've got to boost the penetration of locally produced vehicles in South Africa because that's where the jobs are created.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, is part of what you and others are putting forward in regard to tariffs and saying, look, this is a blunt instrument, it misses the opportunity to fix other things. Is that also in part because invariably I would have thought tariffs are your tariffs on vehicles are bound up with tariffs on avocado, pears and lemons? I mean, I'm crudifying it slightly, and that any attempt to do that would be a longer and much more bumpy road anyway.
Indeed. I mean, we've seen how tariffs get counter tariffs, and that could hurt South Africa in a big way, and it hurts the consumer in the end. So we've got to look at the balance where we don't hurt the consumer, but we also help the industry so that we get more jobs onto South African soil. And I can tell you the industry's objective, and here I'm wearing the NAMSA hat that you referred to just now. Our objective is to make South Africa an attractive location for automotive production, so that more companies and brands come to South Africa, bring their suppliers to South Africa, and create jobs and drive the economy. That's what we have to target, and that is achievable. And I believe our proposal does do just that.
Tell us a little bit about, because we've focused a lot on South Africa and South African consumers, obviously South African jobs, and that would include, I'm sure, the down and upstream manufacturers who do components, car seats and things like that. But in terms of export markets in a very, very turbulent world in regard to trade, how are we looking? First of all, maybe just frame it, if you will, please, how much of our stuff goes out of South Africa once it's been completed. But secondly, are those wins in our teeth, or do we have anything at our back?
Our export market is healthy. We had a healthy export year also in 2025.
Okay.
Despite the headwinds and geopolitical tensions we've seen. We're very reliant on exports, actually too reliant on exports, which is why I said we need to grow the domestic market and have more of a stake in the domestic market. About 3/4 of the cars produced in South Africa get exported, almost, so just under 70% actually. For brands, it's different. Of course, I can say for BMW, it's much higher than that. And our main export destination is the EU and the UK.
Right.
So we're saying about 4 out of 5 cars export from South Africa goes to these markets. And we're lucky for that, of course, because it helped us through the rough times as we lost the US market as an export destination. But what's important is export is required not just for vehicles, but also for component manufacturers here. They get their economies of scale by supplying us, but also by exporting to other markets like Europe and like the US. And so when we spoke on Tuesday, we also encouraged government to continue with strengthening the free trade agreements we have with the EU and the UK as a bloc, but also to not give up on the US, because we need that as an export market for vehicles, but also for components.
Well, thank you very much. Very, very interesting indeed. BMW South Africa Group CEO Peter van Binsbergen, and he also acts as the head of the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa, NAAMSA, to give it its shorthand name. And yeah, it does kind of deal with something that I had misunderstood as well, and he cleared that up. At the beginning, there was a conversation in Parliament where there was talk of a 50% tariff, but in fact, what they were doing was talking about something called the bound rate within the WTO. In other words, the outer limit of some of these taxes and tariffs. And it was reported, or maybe I just misread it, as government is calling for this and considering this. And he was saying, in fact, there's a whole lot of other stuff you can do to keep a vital industry going. I'd love to hear from you, by the way. Are you in any way involved in the component sector or car seats? I don't know if a seat is a component, but making those things that go into cars, gear stick knobs and rear view mirrors, and yeah, they still have gear sticks. Yep. Anyway, vehicles. So much goes into it, glass and so on, door handles. Is that a sector where you work? Is it a sector that you have insight into and a stake in? Give us a call, because I would think these are nervy times. Some of those good numbers that Peter van Binsbergen shared notwithstanding. 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. So interest rates do not move. Did the markets move when the interest rate didn't move? What kind of day has it been?
Not really, John. There's so many other factors that I think are pushing it, that the interest rate decision matters, but it's not the big factor. And I'll tell you what the big factor is in just a sec. Yeah, interesting to see the Monetary Policy Committee doing that. I think despite that, we can probably safely say that South Africa's lower inflation, particularly because of a stronger rand and weaker oil prices, catching quite a few people by surprise. The one thing that really stuck out for me and I sort of took away from the speech was not so much the interest rate decision, which was largely expected, was the comment by the governor that trade imbalances, particularly involving China, and fiscal deficits involving the US, both are unsustainable, and both of those will have big impacts on us in the long run. John, you may remember on Monday, the big story, gold had hit $5,000, right? It is now halfway to $6,000.
Yes.
Where are we? Monday, Tuesday? We're on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
4 days later. I mean, could it hit $6,000 by the end of the month? I mean, wow. So gold going past $5,500 an ounce earlier today. That's helped the JSE. The JSE all share up 0.7%, 125,942 points. Financials up 1.4%. Industrials down 0.2%. Resources up 0.95% on the day. South 32 leading that. They're up 3.78%. Italtal up 3.69%. Glencore, they're up 3.41%. Now, Glencore run the Glencore Morafe smelter. Now, in the big context of things, Glencore's a global company. This is probably not the thing that's really pushing their share price today. But the energy regulator NERSA approving an application by Eskom to charge two smelters, including Glencore's, lower prices for electricity. So someone called Chrome and the Glencore Morafe Chrome venture, they'll now be charged 87 cents a kilowatt hour. You, John Perlman, will pay, this is the Eskom price, your City of Joburg price will be higher, you'll pay at least R1.35 an ounce. I don't know if you're available for interviews on the subject.
Happy anything I can do to help?
Well, here's the question. NERSA says that other people who pay for electricity, that'll be you and I, should not have to make up the difference. I still see no explanation as to how the circle is being squared or squared being circled or whatever it is. Quite bizarre. Woolworths down 6% on the day. Their group turnover for 26 weeks up to the end of December was up 5.4%. Their 26 weeks to the end of December. Their food business saw turnover up by 7% on a comparable store basis. Woolies Dash is up by 23%. Reading between the lines, it looks like one of the issues was their margin. So they've opened a nice big new logistics centre in Midrand. I think people are worried that paying that back and getting that all working is costing a little bit too much money. And then the Competition Commission recommending the Competition Tribunal approve Premier's purchase of the Rhodes Food Group. In the US, Wall Street expecting, as Reuters describes it, a choppy open. There's some mega cap tech results that sort of suggest there'll be a lot more AI spending. And then, of course, the US Federal Reserve last night holding rates steady as expected. In the gold price now, $5,537.37 an ounce. Platinum, $2,797.60. Now, John Brent crude's at $71.11, the highest it's been for quite some time. Let me also say, though, that the rand is stronger to the dollar than it's been for some time. It's now at 15.69, and this really shows you how the dollar is weakening. These things are all connected to each other. The rand to the euro, 18.78, to the British pound, 21.69. Stephen Crotis, EWN Business.
Okay, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. Thank you, Stephen. Back with us in about 55 minutes' time. It's 29 minutes to 5. Let's get the latest from Maki Molapo. The Tshwane municipality is having to digest an Auditor General's report. I don't know if they're managing to chew or choke. Let's find out.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Auditor General's office says it's concerned the Tshwane municipality is not doing enough to hold its employees accountable for financial misconduct. The audited financial report for the 2024-2025 financial year was tabled before Tshwane's council today. The report says the capital has recorded more than 5 billion rand in unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Speaking before council today, Xolani Zikwele from the AG's office says there's a lack of consequence management in the metro.
The main concern here, Honourable Speaker, is that irregular expenditure, fruitless and unauthorized expenditure, the length of time that they remain unaddressed negatively impacts the culture within the city. And really here, Honourable Speaker, is to implore to all role players within the accountability ecosystem, including council, to with haste attend to this particular aspect.
We move to KwaZulu-Natal, where the financially troubled Impendle local municipality has been given 7 days to elect a mayor. The ANC-led municipality in the province's Midlands has again failed to pay salaries to municipal workers, including councillors. Cooperative Governance MEC Tlasizo Buthelezi addressed the council on the crisis yesterday, demanding urgent interventions.
We have made very firm resolutions which must be followed up within 7 days, which we feel will bring stability to this municipality. As we know, there has been no mayor here since July 2025, and that is one of the major reasons why there is instability.
He says come next week, the municipality must have elected a mayor.
We do hope that within the next 7 days, the council will take remedial action to bring back stability into this municipality, to restore order, but more importantly, to restore confidence within the community that this municipality is working for the community.
In Johannesburg, Mayor Dada Morero has cautioned political parties in the city against what he describes as the politicization of service delivery. Morero is facing a motion of no confidence in the city council today, which was tabled by the Al Jama'ah party. The party says the motion is based on its view that Morero has failed to improve service delivery. In his opening address to council, Morero emphasized that service delivery should not be used to settle political scores.
The Joburg crime is slowly disappearing, and there is law and order in the city. Through the mayoral high-impact service delivery program, we are seeing change, and we should not politicize service delivery.
And the ANC says it will assert its sovereignty and foreign policy position at a mass gathering in downtown Johannesburg on Human Rights Day, which take place on the 21st of March. Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says South Africa maintains its support for multilateralism and won't be policed nor bullied by United States President Donald Trump. At a post-ANC Lekgotla briefing today, Mbalula described South Africa's relations with the United States as a Cold War. He has insisted that South Africa is being targeted by Trump, who has persistently and falsely maintained that there's a genocide taking place in South Africa. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
With some parties in the Government of National Unity calling for foreign policy alignment within the coalition, the ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says the party's national executive has reaffirmed that Africa remains the primary pillar in its international engagements.
There is what is called, in a lack of better words, quote-unquote, Cold War between us and the United States of America.
Mbalula says the US's recent invasion of Venezuela and Trump's desire to control Greenland show that no country is being spared interference.
Led by Donald Trump administration in the United States, imposing itself on world over countries as a world policeman.
The ANC envisions thousands marching from Beyers Naudé Park to Constitutional Hill in Braamfontein to commemorate Human Rights Day this year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected tomorrow. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 15 and 17 degrees and peak at highs between 25 and 28 degrees.
Well, in Sandton, expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. M1 northbound from Killarney Bends to the Bethune interchange in the Midrand area. There's an accident scene. N1 southbound near Allendale causing heavy delays. And in Germiston, there's also slow-moving traffic on the N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Osborne Road.
The top story in Eyewitness News. The Auditor General's office says it's concerned the Tshwane municipality is not doing enough to hold its employees accountable for financial misconduct.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Interesting part that I need education about is the singling out of Iran as this deeply rogue state. I know that they don't necessarily shoot out the lights in terms of their human rights history. The United States of America has a rogue agency shooting people in the streets. Are they worse than China? China's human rights record is scary. Everybody's friends with China. Show me who we are comparing Iran with when we say that they have a horrific human rights record.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
This weekend, 31 January, BYD invites you to drive the dream because progress should be drivable. From your first car to growing your family or just wanting to explore the open roads, there's a BYD designed for your journey. Join BYD dealerships nationwide and stand a chance to win one of 10 BYD Dream Experiences to the value of 20,000 Rand. BYD is powering your journey 1 kilowatt at a time. Book your test drive at the nearest BYD dealership. BYD, build your dreams. T's and C's apply.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today.
My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Life keeps getting busier. Parenting, shopping, working, exercising, just surviving. With all of that, who has time for anything else? That's why Netcare introduces Netcare Appointmed. Just tell us what you need, a specialist, GP or dentist, and we'll search our nationwide network of 5,000 doctors and find an appointment with a doctor who best suits your needs and medical aid. That's Netcare Appointmed on the Netcare app.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I disagree with Peter. What we need is not a policy adjustment. We need a price adjustment. I think the advent of the Chinese vehicles on our shores have exposed these German car manufacturers that have been ripping us off all these years. If the Chinese can make a vehicle at an affordable price, half the price, why can't the Germans? So this just shows that these guys have been ripping us off, and effectively they've now surrendered the market. The car market, they've surrendered it to the Chinese, and the Chinese have come to disrupt the new vehicles market as well as the second-hand car market. So I'm afraid Peter is not telling us the truth there. They need to adjust their prices. They have been over-profiting from us over a long time. Thank you. Manja, Rosebank.
Yeah, I think there's a substantial difference between a difference of opinion and somebody not telling the truth. But that's perhaps a conversation for another day. But thank you. I mean, I think the issue of price is an important one, and I appreciate your raising it. Now, one of the other things that we have been talking about is boys and girls' names that are similar or indeed identical. And a lot of you have been sharing your experiences. But this is a really interesting one from Tandanani, because this has a practical consequence. Let me share what Tandanani sent. The issue, good afternoon, John. The issue of interchangeable names has been one of my greatest challenges. Many moons ago, I recall organizing boys and girls camps in KZN, where apart from the names Ntokozo and Andile, I could usually determine a learner's gender from the application form alone. This made assigning rooms and teams straightforward. However, my later experiences working in Northwest and Free State was far more difficult. Even relying on ID numbers proved unreliable, and I often had to make numerous calls to schools just to confirm the gender of each applicant. Yeah, practical. That's interesting when you're organizing something like a camp and accommodation for people attending it. 19 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Women's cricket matches against Pakistan coming up. Players very keen to know if they're going to be in the team. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And the Proteas women's squad for the limited overs tour against Pakistan has been announced. That's ahead of the games that run from the 10th of February until the 1st of March. The T20 squad features Kayla Reineke, who earns her maiden call-up as she joins a group that includes Captain Laura Waldwart, Nadine de Klerk and Marazan Gap. The 50-over side features 4 changes as Laura Goodall, Faye Turner-Cliff, Nondumiso Shangase and Dumis Kokune are all called up. The games for Mandla Mashimbi's squad mark the start of their women's championship cycle, which also serves as a qualification pathway to the 2029 World Cup.
In both formats, it's critical that we start doing well in the bilaterals. Just to obviously make sure from a T20 point of view, leading up to the World Cup, we leave no stone unturned. We make sure that we carry on with that momentum that we got from 2025. As you can see, we've got new players, so it's also an opportunity to see what other players can do and obviously create a bit of depth, because I think that's going to be key for us in making sure that we have strong teams.
Spin bowling all-rounder Sophie Molyneux has been named captain of Australia's women's cricket team across all 3 formats as she replaces the retiring Alyssa Healy. She'll take the reins of the T20 side when Australia host India next month before assuming the one-day and test duties for their tour of the Caribbean in March. Healy announced earlier this month that she'd retire in March, having taken over as captain in 2023 for Meg Lanning. Over to the Betway Premiership, where Kaizer Chiefs made it 9 games unbeaten after a 1-0 1-0 win over Marumo Gallants last night. Claudie Lelepo scored the winner as Cedric Kaz's Chargers leapfrog rivals Orlando Pirates to move 2 points behind leaders Mamelodi Sundowns.
What a goal. It's not a goal that you see every day. I'm happy for Lelepo that he scored that goal because after his injury against IS Simba, he was slowly coming back and there was a little bit pressure on him the last few weeks, but he responded well because we know that he's a big player that can make the difference.
And Senegal coach Pape Thiaw has been suspended for 5 games by CAF and fined $100,000. That's for unsporting conduct after he told his players to leave the pitch during their AFCON final against Morocco. Their federation has also been fined $615,000 due to the team's conduct and the behavior of their fans, while Ilman Dié and Islam Sarr have been suspended for 2 CAF games for unsporting behavior towards the referee. For Morocco, their bid to have the result of the match overturned was dismissed by CAF's disciplinary committee as they received sanctions with fines totaling $315,000. Ashraf Hakimi and Ismail Sabari received 1 and 3 game bans respectively. That's for unsporting conduct, having tried to remove the towel of Senegal goalkeeper Edward Mendy. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 5, getting busy. Karabo Chale has the very latest traffic news. Listen up.
Well, in Sandton, expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound, heading towards Midrand between Killarney Bains and between to change. In the Midrand area, accident scene on the N1 southbound near Allendale, causing major delays at this hour. Still in Midrand, traffic heavily backed up. This is on the N1 northbound from the between to change to New Road. While in Poleshoff, traffic sluggish. On Witkoppen Road, this is between Main Road and Rivonia Road, and in Germiston, slow-moving traffic heading towards Brakpan. N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Osborne. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, still to come, a conversation that I'm really looking forward to because the issue has so much about it that really is quite extraordinary. We've covered from time to time on the station hijacked properties in the suburb of Bryanston, but when we cover that, people call in and say this is happening in other parts of Gauteng as well. Mike Ngomane is a senior attorney at M. Ngomane Attorneys, an expert in this area, and he's going to be joining us on our weekly Thursday feature, Your House, Your Home. That's in about 5 minutes' time.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So we were talking about names and, names that are used for both men and women. And we got a message earlier from Linda. But the point of playing it again for you is not because of what Linda had to say, interesting as it was. Listen up for something else.
Dumela Ntate John. My name is Linda. Now, when I was a youngster at school, young girls used to laugh at me. I said, it's a woman's name. And, I used to get cross. And I didn't like this name. But when I grew up, only to find that there's a lot of Lindas, like Lindam Nisi and Lindam Tembu and all that. Then I really like this name now. Thanks. Linda from Shawelo. Cheers.
So, Karabo, you're obviously listening to that. I had a little thing to say about Linda Buthelezi, Linda Nisi. I'm assuming referring to the excellent TV reports. I think Newsroom Africa, you get to see him. But you were listening to the noise in the background. Tell us about it.
And then the noise, when I heard the noise in the background, I immediately knew where this guy was calling from. And I told Karabo, I was like, he's calling from somewhere in Soweto because we hear this noise on a daily. We call them Bopoli Poli. And there are these guys who sell veggies in shopping trolleys.
Yes.
And they walk around the neighborhood. And then just to catch your attention, they'll just press that thing and they'll make a noise. Poli, Poli, Poli. And that's what their name is. So, yeah.
So the origin of the device, because I was
Yes.
also listening, and my association with that is bicycles.
Oh, yes.
But from a long time back. Where would people go to buy one? I mean, if you need one,
Yeah.
do you go to a bicycle shop, or is one, are they passed down through generations,
good
father
question.
to son?
That's a good question.
I give to you my poly and get your own trolley, let's go. You know?
I don't know where they get them from. That's actually a good question.
Anybody who knows where you get a poly, not that I'm necessarily after one, but I'm keen to know how these little traditions sustain themselves. There must be somebody who's got a little business in supplying them. But that prompted a very interesting question. Share it with us.
Well, it prompted that where you come from, what is that unique sound that you hear
Yes.
every day that you don't hear anywhere else in other areas? Like we were talking about Hardy-Dars. We hear a lot of them in the morning here in the Sandton suburban areas, but you hardly hear them in Soweto. And then the other one that came up was when I moved to Soweto. There's these what do you call them? CPFs, security people who
Community
patrol us.
policing forums. Yes.
So to also catch our attention to say we are out and about looking after you,
Yes.
they'll blow vuvuzelas first thing in the morning.
Oh
I
my
remember when I
goodness.
got to Soweto, I was like, is there a soccer game that I'm missing at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Or maybe there was a great one the night before and they're
Yeah,
only
there's-
going home now because the victory was so satisfying. I wonder about Hardy-Dars in those areas. You know, for example, the wetland that's quite near the old Orlando Power Station. What's the college across the road from on that road that goes past Barra? Yeah. It used to be Vista.
Yes.
Vista campus. Would you get Hardy-Dars making a racket there? Tolakele, in the various places you've lived in your life, I mean, has there been a noise that, you know, people, if anyone had you on a phone call, you'd be able to say, yes, okay, I know where you are.
I'll use Gatlehong because as Karaba was talking, I thought of 3 examples. So because we're in the east, we're closer to the airport. So when it's quiet, you can hear the planes coming through. We also, people in Palm Ridge will know that there's a mosque that side. So we always knew when Eid and all their Friday services were taking place because you could actually hear it when the whole area goes quiet. And when you speak of vuvuzelas, before COVID happened, we had neighbors on the right who were Pirates supporters and neighbors on the left who were Chiefs supporters.
Yes.
So even if you didn't watch the game, you knew exactly who was winning
Yes.
based on where the vuvuzela came from.
Yeah, that's very nice, I must say. I'm trying to think of my neighborhood, birds in the morning. I live very near the M1 highway, so the sound of traffic is very much part of my morning neighborhood. The security guards get very, very chatty between 5:30 and 6 as the shift changes.
Oh, yes.
So that would be another part of my morning. I have to think about it. What is a signature sound that comes either from the place you live in now or a place where you lived in once in your life? We've got off to a very good start and the bar's been set high with the polis. And if you have ever in your life been one of those vegetable salespeople, maybe something you still do as a sideline or do it as your job. But yeah, they're hooting. Tell us a little bit about that and life selling vegetables from a trolley. 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. It's 9 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Let's focus our attention now, as I mentioned, something that has been in the news, some quite extraordinary stories, properties in Grosvenor Road in Bryanston and Bryanston Avenue, unsurprisingly, also in Bryanston. But I'm sure you're very familiar with those stories. Somebody taking over that property, set up 41 Wendy houses or Zozos or whatever they were, and moving people in, charging them rent, defying efforts by the people who own the property to actually get their house and the home back. Quite an extraordinary situation. And it would appear that the law, which you would have thought would be clear-cut and powerful in this regard, doesn't appear to be either. Let's get some insight into that then. Mike Ngomane is a senior attorney at M. Ngomane Attorneys and has been very much involved in these matters. Mr. Ngomane, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. The law appears to be toothless in this regard. Is it, and if so, why?
Good afternoon, Tate John. Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your listeners. Look, it's not that the law is toothless. It's a matter of it being a bit lenient to occupiers that are unlawful as opposed to owners.
Right.
We've got the PI Act, which provides that it needs to be just and equitable for an eviction order to be granted. Unfortunately, that has resulted in a shift in the way evictions have been done since the enactment of the PI Act. In the past, you just had to prove ownership, that you're the owner of the property and that the occupant is unlawful. The court would easily give you an eviction order. Unfortunately, these days, the just and equitable test has become a thorn in a lot of owners' court cases. There's a recent case, Beria versus the DeVet, which is a constitutional court case, which also requires that you obtain a report from the municipality to show that there is no risk of homelessness if you evict. But if there is risk of homelessness,
yes,
then the municipality needs to provide alternative accommodation. Now you can imagine how much courts are inundated with eviction applications, and the resources are simply not enough from the municipality side to provide alternative accommodation. So that combined has led to it being a bit difficult to get your eviction orders in the recent days since the court case of DeVet.
Yeah. It strikes me that the initial act, let's say I'm the property owner or you are, it doesn't matter which it is, the property owner, the initial act of the property owner being deprived of the full and free use of their property would involve the commission of a crime, i.e. trespass. I don't know if breaking and entering only refers to a physical structure like a house, but I would have thought that would come into play if gates get either removed or broken into in some way. Surely at that point there are sufficient grounds for the law to take its force and for the police to act.
Look, in instances of evictions, there's a whole host of factors that would lead to occupants occupying the property. In instances like the one that you referred to in Bryanston, you find a hijacker simply taking people into the property, basically renting the property to them. So you would have to have evidence to the fact that all the occupants broke into the property and witnesses to that effect to actually get an arrest. If you would want to, say for example, you want to get the hijacker arrested for whatever reason, also you would have to have proper evidence, witnesses that would attest to the fact that there has been breaking and entry, and the fact that there is actually fraud. There's collection of rent, which is prohibited in terms of Section 3 of the PI Act. However, because most of these property owners probably don't know how in the instances of the Bryanston properties, they simply don't know how the occupants entered to the property. So you can't get a whole host of people arrested. Hence, the PI Act expects you to get an eviction order before you take the law into your hands. Unfortunately, that's the problem with our South African law as it stands.
But between being powerless and an eviction process, I'm just wondering, is there nothing, Mr. Ngomane, in the middle? Because if I were to lay a charge that people have trespassed on my property, they have further put up structures on what used to be my lawn or my veranda, it doesn't really matter where on the property it is. We establish fairly swiftly that I'm the owner. I sign an affidavit and say, no, I don't know any of these people and I never gave them permission to live there, which, by the way, would be against the bylaws anyway. So I have no plan to commit a crime. I mean, I must admit I'm still puzzled. I get that the eviction process is caught up in some of these other court decisions about alternative housing and so on. But I'm not sure why the proof of a commission of a crime by the people who've dispossessed me in this way is so difficult.
The problem, John, here is who is the culprit in this instance. The case in point, the Bryanston trespass cases.
Right.
If you want to open a case of trespass, do you now go to each and every one of the 70 occupants in the property and say, all of you are trespassing in my property? The problem with that is that you're going to have to provide proof that all of them have actually broken and entered into your property.
Right.
But basically, they don't have your permission. That is established. But then again, it becomes a very difficult case to prove in respect of trespass.
Mm-hmm.
And through experience, the trespass cases, the police would actually want you to first evict, and if they reoccupy, then you've got an eviction order, a return of service from the sheriff, to prove your case that these people were actually evicted and they're reoccupied. Then you'll have a strong case of trespass. But other than that, you would have to have proper evidence in respect of whether each and every one of those occupants have actually taken the property through illegal means. In this case, the occupants probably didn't even know who the owner is.
Yes.
They just took up a marketplace, probably an advert in marketplace, and they took up occupation. Therefore, I doubt even if they get arrested, you would get far with a conviction in respect of the actual occupiers as opposed to the hijacker. So that's the problem that we're having, Dr. John. So the proper modus operandi would then be to actually evict them through a court order.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if they reoccupy, then you can get your trespass case. In respect of the hijacker and Dr. John, you would have to have some sort of evidence that this hijacker, in this case of Bryanston, is actually collecting rent, which is not allowed in terms of Section 3 of the PI Act. And at least have some witnesses that could attest to that. Only then will the authorities actually take action to say that there is fraud being committed in the form of unlawful collection of rent in someone else's property.
Thank you so much, Mike Ngomane. Very, very intricate and interesting indeed. You may want to comment on that. Maybe you've got experience to share. He is a senior attorney at M. Ngomane Attorneys.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Hey, Minister, a record 10.4 million international visitors last year.
Yes, we are indeed very excited. South Africa was chosen as one of the most beautiful places on earth for people to visit. Another level of confidence as it goes to tourism infrastructure investment. The French luxury resort brand Club Med will be opening in KZN in June this year. That was a public-private partnership of 2.5 billion rand. So that shows confidence in our country.
Patricia de Lille, the Minister of Tourism.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries, world-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
The festive rush doesn't wait. Orders, deliveries, messages, calls. This summer, you'll need connectivity that doesn't tap out when the pressure is on. With Telkom Business, you get reliable, high-speed connectivity for just $2.99 per month. That's our unlimited LTE, all hours basic plan, 10 megabytes per second. No caps, no excuses.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that grow your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Do you suffer from migraines? Have you been previously diagnosed by a doctor and treated for migraine? Ask your pharmacist about previously prescribed migraine treatments that are now available without prescription. Brought to you by Sandoz.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
This is EWN.
Joburg gets a new deputy mayor and City of Tshwane moves to blacklist controversial businessman Edwin Sodi. Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo. We begin with breaking news. The Johannesburg City Council has approved a proposal to create a new deputy mayor position. The proposal, tabled by the ANC, was adopted by the council this afternoon. It's understood the ANC intends for its newly appointed leader in the city, Loyiso Masuku, to be elected to the role. The city says the deputy mayor will ensure uninterrupted executive authority. EWN's Alpha Ramushwana joins us live on the line. Alpha, a significant development this afternoon.
Of course, Maki, the City of Johannesburg will now have a deputy mayor after the City Council approved a motion to create the position. However, the new role will replace one of the mayoral committee positions in a bid to reduce costs. I'll remind you of the City of Tshwane, where the deputy mayor position has been combined with the finance portfolio, a model that is also likely to be adopted here in Johannesburg. While Maki ANC Regional Secretary Sasabona Manganye says the introduction of a new deputy mayor will help improve operational stability in the city.
Then it will assist in terms of the coordination of the service delivery, focusing even also on the coordination of the work of the state-owned entities, in this instance, your municipal-owned entities from governance point of view. And it will also assist also to be that central point that deals with matters of finance, treasury.
Well, Maki, the City Council will now have to convene another meeting where the new deputy mayor will be elected. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, reporting live from the Joburg City Council in Braamfontein.
Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago says the central bank remains cautiously optimistic about the outlook for 2026 as the central bank weighs its policy options for the year. This follows a decision by the central bank's MPC to hold the benchmark policy rate at 6.75% at today's announcement. The MPC already lowered the repo rate from 8.25% at the start of 2024 to 6.75% by the end of 2025. Nokukhanya Mtambo has the details.
Last year was marked by extreme global uncertainty and 2026 has begun with a new round of shocks. Geopolitical tensions remain elevated, reflecting what the Reserve Bank has labelled a rupture in the global political order. Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago says markets are jittery and precious metals like gold have received safe haven flows, while there are also ongoing risks of an artificial intelligence bubble.
Furthermore, global imbalances have become very large.
He says South African growth looks steadier, with the economy expanding 4 consecutive quarters and on track to mark the longest unbroken growth phase since 2018.
Despite a volatile global backdrop, there was significant progress on domestic reforms. It is crucial to sustain this progress.
Kganyago says further gains in economic performance would come from reaching a prudent public debt level, lowering administered price inflation, and continuing structural reforms that raise potential growth. Nokukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
The Tshwane municipality says it's finally submitted an application to Treasury to blacklist controversial businessman Edwin Sodi and his affiliated businesses. Through the application, the municipality wants Sodi's businesses to no longer receive any contracts from government. In 2019, a consortium led by Sodi was awarded a 250 million rand contract to upgrade the dysfunctional Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant. However, the municipality was forced to cancel the contract after the consortium abandoned the site, with much of the work still incomplete. Tabiso Goba has that story.
In a statement, the Tshwane municipality says the delay in submitting its blacklisting application was to ensure it was done properly. Treasury has in the past rejected the Tshwane municipality's application to blacklist Edwin Sodi and his affiliated companies after finding fault in the municipality's application. The recent move has received unanimous support by political parties in Tshwane. DA Tshwane Caucus leader Celia Brink says finally,
I'll have this to say for the executive mayor, Speaker. She certainly responds to pressure, and we will continue to pressure her in the interests of good governance.
Meanwhile, Action SA says critics should remember successive governments in Tshwane have failed to do this previously. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Between August 2022 and January 2024. Khomozo Modise has the story.
The eBongweni prison is known for its stringent rules and conditions, with prisoners held in a single cell for 23 hours and are only allowed 1 hour for exercise. Muzikat Matala's lawyer, advocate Anneline van der Heerbe, has given the court a detailed explanation of the conditions that she's had to face while trying to consult with him and prepare his case.
In the middle of the night, literally, on the Saturday preceding the Monday's consultation, notice was given by the area commissioner that nobody's allowed to see him.
Judge William Karim advised Madlala to bring an urgent application for a transfer.
Because obviously, from what you have explained, the situation is untenable. How are you supposed to take instruction?
The match has been postponed to next week, where the issue of his transfer will be discussed. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News at the Johannesburg High Court.
And Mozambique has officially relaunched its Total Energies gas project. The relaunch comes 5 years after the project was paused due to a deadly jihadist attack in 2021, which killed an estimated 800 people. The project is expected to generate thousands of jobs and help make the country one of the world's biggest liquefied natural gas exporters. Critics have warned that this project is a climate bomb that would bring little benefit to Mozambicans, many of whom live below the poverty line. Gold's trading at $5,450.27 an ounce. The rand's at 15.77 to the dollar, at 21.78 to the pound, at 18.86 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $71.75 a barrel.
In Ekurhuleni, Boksburg, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Heidelberg Road between Raven and North Boundary Road. Germiston travelling towards Brakpan, traffic a bit sluggish. This is N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Osborne. And if you're leaving Sandton, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. M1 northbound from Killarney Bains to the Butler interchange.
In your sport, Elena Rybakina sets up Australian Open final against Irina Sabalenka. Serena Williams refuses to rule out tennis comeback, and Kaz achieves up to second following a crucial win over Maruma Gallants.
A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 15 degrees and peak at highs of 25. Pretoria is at 17 and 28. Vereeniging's at 16, also reaching highs of 28 degrees. The breaking top story in Eyewitness News this hour. The Johannesburg City Council has approved a proposal to create a new deputy mayor position.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 11 minutes past 5. So, Johannesburg now has a deputy mayor. Yeah, nah. Let me give my view on this, and I'm just going to make it plain and simple. I think this is absolutely disgraceful. This city has got so many problems, and they are trying to sweeten the creation of a position which allows them to resolve a whole lot of political problems of their own making, because they view, it would seem, coalition government as a framework within which you squabble and struggle for positions. And they're trying to sweeten it for us by saying, oh yeah, but we're getting rid of one of the MMC positions, and therefore this will be at no extra cost. 1.2 million rand with benefits, by the way, is the actual cost. Well, let me tell you why I say this is disgraceful. Those MMC positions are actual jobs. Transport, it's a job. Finance, it's a crucial job. Human settlements, health and social development, development planning, economic development. These are jobs, they are tasks with teams of people. Community development, I think I mentioned. Environment and infrastructure services, public safety, another crucial job. This is a city, by the way, that has an MMC in those positions, in the position of public safety, that could not get round to renewing the speed camera contract. One of many examples of a city not getting its job done. But yeah, now we have a deputy mayor, and they say this will ensure uninterrupted executive authority. This on a day when one of the coalition partners actually was planning to interrupt executive authority by having another vote of no confidence, the third in this mayor. We have had, I think, in Johannesburg, 11 mayors in 10 years, 10 mayors or whatever. But hey, never fear. We now have a deputy mayor. I think it's shameful. Give me your views. 011 883 0702. I nearly said it's laughable, but actually it's not funny at all. 13 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Hi, gents. Yeah, actually, Karaba stole my thunder. Actually, not even in Soweto, not only Soweto, Deep Slot, Oliver Bosch, you name it, Cosmo City. It's the trolley and the veggies. There we go. Yeah,
Wow, Ntate John, you are rhyming. Poli, get your own trolley. Yeah, this is Tabiso from Midlands.
Hi, John and Karabo and Tolakele. A unique sound, unique to Shanguve and maybe Tembisa. The horn, the hooting of a Toyota Venture. I think those vehicles only still exist in Tembisa and Shanguve and Mawupani. You are waking up by them early in the morning. Beep, 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 beep. Toyota Ventures. Here.
Hey, John. Yes, certainly, I think sounds that you become familiar with. We lived across the road from the school for many years, and we could always hear the school bell when it starts, when there was break, when it was the finish of school, when it was lightning sirens or whatever. And even though we did go to the schools in the morning, my family lived there for many years after that.
Hi, John and team. This is Tracy from Sandra. So the noise that I associate with our area is doves. We are right on the edge of farmlands, and sometimes the doves are so loud that they literally drown out all other noises. And when people visit us from the city, that's the first thing they notice is the sound of doves.
Yeah, actually, and funny you mentioned doves, because the other thing that I actually hear from time to time, even though I live some distance away from the zoo, is lions. And people who live around Joburg Zoo. And I remember, I think I was interviewing Fiona Ramsey, the actress, and she grew up in that part of Joburg, Forest Town, I think she was saying. And she had lions roaring as part of growing up. Just on that subject, by the way, we asked people about noises that you hear in the area where you live. And we picked it up because Linda sent us a message earlier on another topic. But we could hear the polis as they push the trolleys coming past. There we go. I'm working at this. It might be a little...
Sounds cool.
A very short career there. It's, I think for a rap, you need more than 2 lines.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll get back to it, maybe. Opa says, hi, John, I grew up in Mufolo in the 70s. The most audible sounds in our area was the sound of the steam engine of the goods train in the wee hours of the morning. I don't know what was being transported that time of the morning. The other sound we got accustomed to was the sound of the train announcer's loudspeakers at the nearby station. You could hear the announcements miles away. Coming up on 702 Drive, flowing out of the Madlanga Commission. They tabled, you may recall, the interim report, their first interim report to the president at the end of last year. President Cyril Ramaphosa has now responded by saying that Acting Justice Minister Firoz Kachalia must put together a task team to look at criminal charges and other actions to be taken against some people who the Madlanga Commission have made clear is deserving of that kind of action taken against them. Some questions, though, you could frame it broadly under A for action or D for decisiveness, but there's some loose ends that I've got questions about. I'll put them to Ian Cameron, Chair of the Portfolio Committee on Police. Don't forget, as if you had, that they're running their own process down in Parliament, the ad hoc committee. Ian Cameron joining us shortly on 702 Drive. It's 17 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Midrand was difficult earlier. I don't know if it's just the same difficult or more difficult. Karapo Charlie.
Well, if you're heading towards Pretoria, you can still expect some delays. N1 northbound between the Batory interchange and Allendale. There's an accident seen there. However, the good news, if you're traveling in the opposite direction, we had an accident earlier which has been cleared. That's on the N1 South near Allendale. Traffic is now free flowing if you're traveling towards Sandton. However, in the Sandton area, heading towards Midrand, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. M1 northbound from Killarney Benz to the Butlu interchange pulls off. Traffic sluggish on Witkoppen Road between Main Road and Rivonia Road, while in Bryanston, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Fourways. That's on the N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. And in Boksburg, traffic sluggish. This is on Heidelberg Road between Raven and North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The OUTsurance pointsmen can't help you stick to your New Year's resolution, but they can ease the traffic congestion so you don't stress eat on the way to work. With the OUTsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely in the new year. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
I think as South Africans, we have a high tolerance for nonsense. We have a high tolerance for abuse. And I don't know how we could change that. Because we're good with complaining. We're going to be outraged. All of us. Outraged about how our taxes are being abused and how corrupt these senior officers are. But what do we do about it? How can it be? How can it be that many of us, none of you have called in and said, hey, I'm a happy taxpayer, Clement? None. How can it be that so many of us can be unhappy taxpayers in this country and we do nothing about it? How can it be that we are so unhappy as taxpayers? We do nothing about it. Let's think about that.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries, world-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Running a business can feel like a solo mission. I mean, you've got the hustle. If only your office Wi-Fi was your employee of the month. Turn on your success with Telkom Business, the partner that always shows up. Get a reliable 25 by 25 megabytes per second connection with Stream Connect Fiber for only 489 rands per month.
This summer, your business deserves the best. Visit telkom.co.za/business for deals that connect your business. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Hollywood Bets invites you to take the lead. The sizzling summer competition is giving you a chance to bask in horse racing glory and blaze into red-hot rewards. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing online or at your nearest branch, and you could win a share of 1 million Rand in prizes. Enjoy a star-studded lineup of equestrian events this summer and settle up for a season of success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
22 minutes past 5. Let's turn our attention now to what I think is the biggest story of today, although there's been quite a bit going on. But the first response from President Cyril Ramaphosa to the work of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. According to a statement issued by his office. They said the president had studied the interim report and accepts its recommendations. And then I'll read this quote in full. President Ramaphosa further welcomes the referrals by the Commission of Matters for Immediate Criminal Investigation and urgent decisions on prosecution, as well as recommendations on the employment status and recommended suspension of individuals. Among them, four certainly senior members of the South African Police Service, amongst them Major General Lisicha Sinona, who has been appearing before the Madlanga Commission over the past 3 days. Major General Richard Shibiri is of equivalent rank, and he is in that list as well. There are others whose employment is with the Ekurhuleni Metro, including Acting Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkwanazi, who's currently suspended as well. So, a step in the right direction, action after many people expressed fear that it would be all inquiry. Ian Cameron is chair of the Portfolio Committee on Police and joins us now. Mr. Cameron, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Your thoughts on this step, moving in the right direction?
Good afternoon, John. Thank you. So I think it needs to be welcomed. I think it's positive that something is happening. The big question will be, how will they constitute this specific special investigation task team? Obviously, the risk, as with commissions, is that it's exactly that, just another task team. But I must say, it is good that that some action is being taken. I'm quite surprised, to be honest, about how people have been named and I guess named and shamed in the statement from the presidency today. And I think it could potentially be a step in the right direction. It'll be very interesting to see how many of those people are behind bars anytime soon.
So, Mr. Cameron, on the subject of naming people, I had quite a significant concern at the naming of Major General Lisicha Sinona, and I'll just spell it out as briefly as I can for you. I don't know quite how things ended today, but at the time the statement came out, he was in the position of a witness giving testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Now, his lawyers could surely argue that if the recommendation that the task team look at him is based on the earlier report before he had given testimony, he could turn around and say, listen, you prejudged me. Your report is already saying that I should be in the crosshairs before you've even heard me in full.
Well, I think if that should be the case, I think the approach from him should then be, well, I'll cooperate with any investigation, and you need to be able to come and say whether you find something or not. And if they don't, then they need to announce that, and he needs to clear his name, or they need to clear his name. Unfortunately, the amount of contradictions and things that he said during his testimony is worrying. And I think so far, as we've seen from the Madlanga Commission, significant amount of evidence from certain people, and the way that they've answered, sometimes leaving themselves cornered, I think, by implication, or rather they then implicated themselves.
The team will report to National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola. Is that a formal line of reporting as you see it, Mr. Cameron, or if it is to an individual as well, may we not find ourselves crossing a point in the road or arriving at a fork at the very least where the general has to recuse himself from that role because testimony is implicating him in things?
Certainly, yes. I think it's got the same risk that we've seen with the PKTT, or the Political Killing Task Team. So we certainly do have that risk. It's going to be interesting to see who he selects as the commander of that task team, and whether he selects someone or only people that are currently in SAPS. Will they bring in people from outside? Would it be a joint initiative, possibly with other entities, also playing some kind of a role? We'll have to wait and see. I hope they don't take too long to finalize it. Unfortunately, as we've seen during the last 5-6 months, everything is so extremely interlinked. It's very, very difficult to ensure that you get someone that is totally and completely objective.
Thank you so much. Ian Cameron, DA Member of Parliament and Chair of the Portfolio Committee on Police, largely welcoming with a couple of, I wouldn't even say caveats, but questions that he would like to see answered down the road, but largely welcoming of the decision taken by the President to set up this task team. What's your view? Give us a call, 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, before you tell us about the market news, we've been asking our listeners about a sound from your neighborhood that really characterizes where you live. Is there anything that pops into mind for you?
Yeah, dogs barking on a Sunday, because on Sunday afternoon, everyone decides to take their dogs for a walk. And you can hear the passage. My dogs do it too, by the way.
Yes.
And you can sort of tell where people are because of the way that everybody goes down the road. There's also quite late at night, from Jan Smuts Drive, you can hear just across the road sometimes a little bit of music. I won't say who I know who goes to that establishment, but it's very loud.
Okay, well, it sounds fun. I think, give me the address and I'll give you feedback. How are the markets?
Yeah, not bad, John. I mean, obviously helped by such a strong gold price, although that's coming down a bit. And then, of course, the interest rate hold largely in line with expectations. I think also the Bank's Monetary Policy Committee sort of signaling quite well that it's a matter of time before they do cut interest rates again. So the market slightly mollified that there wasn't a cut today. The JSE All Share ending the day down 0.14 at 125,249 points. Financials up 1.17. Industrials down 0.2%. And resources ending really flat on the day, which is quite surprising when you consider that gold went past $5,500. I think that investors sort of not really pricing in the big increase in the gold price at this stage. It's run so hard. The shares have run so hard. They're kind of just waiting a little bit before they get into it a little bit further. South 32 up 3%. BHP up 3. Italtal up over 2.5%. And Dis-Chem up 2.4% on the day. Sappi down 7%, while Woolies is down 6%. They reported their group turnover up 5.4% on a constant currency basis in the 26 weeks to the end of December. Their food business seeing turnover up by 7% on a comparable store basis, but still investors not liking that. I think people did want a little bit more. We Buy Cars down 4.82%, and surprisingly some of the gold miners down a little bit. DRD Gold down 4.74%. The energy regulator NERSA confirming, and it's approved this application by Eskom to charge 2 smelters a much lower price for electricity. By the way, the smelters might still not be able to open at this price, and it is still not clear to me who's going to pay for the difference, because NERSA has said that, in fact, it should not be the average consumer that pays for the difference, and I see no other explanation at this point. And then the Competition Commission telling the Competition Tribunal it should approve Premier's purchase of the Rhodes Food Group. In the US, markets opening down despite really quite strong numbers from some AI firms. The Dow Jones is down 0.14, the Nasdaq down 1.65, the S&P 500 is down 0.78, and I think perhaps the reason for that is the sheer amount of money that's been spent by AI firms, and it really does look to how much more money is going to have to be invested to try and monetize the developments in AI. The gold price was about $5,500 an hour ago, now at $5,458.91. Platinum, $2,743. Brent crude is at $69.95, still much higher than it's been, but a weaker dollar too. The rand to the dollar, 15.84.83, to the euro, 18.92, to the British pound, 21.83. More on the Money Show tonight. We'll speak to the World Gold Council about the gold price. More, of course, on the interest rate decision. We'll also talk about the ferrochrome issue. Do speak to one of the role players in that, John. More conversations around gas as well. And then from 7:30 in Investment School tonight, should you move away from the dollar? And if you don't like the dollar anymore, where do you go? Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. The Money Show coming your way between 6 and 8. It's 28 minutes to 6 right now. And let's find out what's happening in the news with Maki Molapo.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. It's the big story coming from the city centre, where the Johannesburg City Council has approved a proposal to create a new deputy mayor position. The proposal, tabled by the ANC, was adopted by the council this afternoon. It's understood the ANC intends for its newly appointed leader in the city, Loyiso Masuku, to be elected to the role. The city says the deputy mayor will ensure uninterrupted executive authority. Alfa Ramushwana has more.
The city of Johannesburg will now have a deputy mayor after the city council approved a motion to create the position. However, the new role will replace one of the mayoral committee positions in a bid to reduce costs. In the city of Tshwane, the deputy mayor position is combined with the finance portfolio, a model that is also likely to be adopted in Johannesburg. ANC Regional Secretary Sasabona Manganye says the introduction of a deputy mayor will help improve operational stability in Johannesburg.
Then it will assist in terms of the coordination of the service delivery, focusing even also on the coordination of the work of the state-owned entities in this instance.
The City Council will now have to convene another meeting where the new deputy mayor will be elected. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The Basic Education Department has clarified that only 1.8% of learners in the country's schools are foreign nationals, contrary to reports that they are in the majority. The department has firmly dispelled claims that foreign learners are adding strain to the education system and causing overcrowding. Spokesperson Terence Khala says the 1% of learners in schools have the necessary documents.
Now, the figure includes learners of ambassadors, diplomatic missions, United Nations agencies, and other international organizations who are lawfully present in the country and whom South Africa has a responsibility to host in line with international obligations.
The department is calling for community leaders, parents, and the general public to correct the narrative.
We must actively reject xenophobia and fear-mongering as well as misinformation. Now, education is a unifying force in society. Our schools must be places of safety, dignity, and inclusion for all children. They must protect the rights of every learner and strengthen social cohesion and never be used as a tool to sow division.
The Gauteng Transport Department is working to clear a permit backlog dating back to 2009, mainly affecting public and scholar transport operators. Provincial MEC Gidiboni Dialetlabela says a crisis unfolded after thousands of permit applications were found to be stalled. She admitted delays were caused by manual paper-based system, fraud and corruption, resulting in some applicants being forced to wait for up to 3 years for permits. Dialetlabela says in some cases the free permits were sold for 500 rand.
There's allegations of officials that will sell it for 500 rands, and because when you don't have it, your car gets impounded and you pay 5,000. People see that I rather pay that 500. So this is a demonstration. I've been doing this since November, that it's for free. You don't have to buy it from somebody else. So the backlog with the taxi industry is from 2009.
And China has executed 11 people linked to Myanmar criminal gangs, including key members involved in scam operations. The Ming family members were sentenced last September for various crimes, including homicide, illegal detention, fraud, and operating gambling dens. The centers are usually staffed by foreigners, including many Chinese, with many saying they were trafficked and forced to swindle people online. In April, the UN warned the Chinese and Southeast Asian gangs are raking in tens of billions of dollars a year through cyber scam centers. A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows between 15 and 17 degrees and peak at highs between 25 and 28 degrees.
In Germiston, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards the Alberton area. N17 westbound between Rondebolt and Osborne. In Boksburg, there's also slow-moving traffic on Heidelberg Road between Raven and North Boundary Road.
The top story in Eyewitness News. The Johannesburg City Council has approved a proposal to create a new deputy mayor position.
The G20 Summit is a stepping stone towards a brighter future for the city. Josie My Josie has launched the Babize Bonke campaign to shine a spotlight on some of the extraordinary champions who are reshaping Johannesburg from the ground up.
I'm Dr. Taddy Pletcher, CEO of the Maharishi Invincibility Institute. Through our programs, we have raised over 800 million rand for free education, helping formerly unemployed South African youth to enter the job market. And we've had a 95% average job placement success rate.
Josie My Josie is making the invisible visible, giving the voiceless a voice. It's a movement for the people, by the people, creating a city that we can proudly call Josie My Josie. Come see how Josie does it. A city that's alive, ready, and rising. Prime Media and 702 are proud sponsors of Josie My Josie.
Remember where you were when Shaba scored in 2010. Now, imagine that magic again alongside global football royalty like Didier Drogba, Del Piero, Puyol and more. Juego de Leyendas 2026 brings the legends back for one unforgettable showdown, goals, glory and goosebumps all over again. Stream Juego de Leyendas 2026 now on Prime Media Plus. Download the app or visit primemediaplus.com. Brought to you by Prime Media Sport.
For over 30 years, Bid Air Cargo has been keeping South Africa's supply chain moving, giving our economy the dedicated cargo capacity it needs. Whether it's really, really urgent, oversized, or hazardous, when a shipment has to fly, we make it happen. Linking all major airports with reliable freighter services, our promise delivers. Bid Air Cargo. Every kilo counts.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Could this be the year when our economy starts to really feel the impact of improved Transnet logistics and improved railway system?
The solution for the general freight business of Transnet and the freight that should be on rail and our two major corridors, especially the Cape Town corridor and the Natal corridor, I'm not seeing that yet. I'm not seeing improvement. I'm not seeing improvement in numbers. We know what needs to be done, but it's much more complex.
Professor Jan Havengaas, Professor of Logistics.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. That's how we're invested in your story. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest sports news with Tola Kele. The world number 4 plays world number 5, England, against South Africa in netball, Tola Kele.
Absolutely, John. And that's as the Spar Proteas kick off their 2026 season tonight when they take on England in the first of 3 test matches from 6 p.m. Captain Khanyisa Qawane says confidence is high in the team, having won the Africa Netball Cup back in December.
In that cup, we're able to give new players an opportunity so that they can feel the vibe of the team and be able to gel with the team so that when we come to a series against England, those players are not feeling nervous, but they do feel included and supported. So that type of success has actually given us confidence to go in as a team and not nervous, but really gelled up and ready to face England.
Elena Rybakina has reached the Australian Open final for the second time, having defeated Jessica Pegula 6-3 and 6-4. She'll now play top seed Irina Sabalenka, who beat Elena Svitolina in straight sets in what is a repeat of the 2023 final.
Yeah, definitely very happy to be in the final again, and I was close other years, seasons when I played semis in the other slams, but now I'm closer, and which is great, and it's just one step to go.
The Proteas women's squad for their tour of Pakistan has been announced ahead of the games that run from the 10th of February until the 1st of March. Kayla Reinaka earns her maiden call-up to the T20 squad, who are gearing up for June's World Cup. Mandla Mashimbi has discussed their quest to win a first international title after 3 runner-up appearances.
Yes, everybody wants to cross that line, but the fact that we've made finals 3 times in a row, it's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful space to be in as a team because you know that you're doing something right. My thing is to get my players to start appreciating that and not feel that they're a failure because we're not crossing the line. The fact that we actually are getting there shows that we're doing something right. On the day, maybe, just not on our day, but all in all, South African women's team is actually a force in world cricket.
Cedric Kaze has once again told Kaizer Chiefs supporters not to get carried away about their Betway Premiership title chances. They made it 9 games unbeaten following a 1-0 win over Marumo Gallants. That result moves them 2 points behind log leaders Mamelodi Sundowns at the halfway stage of the season.
You know, we go game by game. Last season, at the end of the season, we were at 32 points. After 30 games, I feel it's a big improvement, but as well we feel that we still have a big room as well for improvement, and we're gonna go there and compete every game. Now our focus is gonna shift to our CAF Confederation game on Sunday against Zesco.
And Island centre Bandi Aki will miss the first 3 Six Nations matches after being suspended for verbally abusing an official. The Irish Rugby Football Union handed Aki a 6-game ban, 2 of which are suspended, related to an incident in Canucks URC match against Leinster last week. Aki will be suspended for Canucks match against Zebre on Saturday, as well as the Six Nations games against France, England and Italy. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 18 minutes to 6, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142. Do it now and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We've got some problems. We're in Germiston.
Yeah, Germiston, this is if you are leaving the Brakpan-Boksburg area heading towards Alberton. We still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N17 westbound between Rondebold and Osborne Road. In Sandton heading towards Midrand. 20-minute delay M1 northbound from Killarney Bends to the Butlu interchange. Midrand, some good news. That accident seen on the N1 south near Ellendale has been cleared and traffic is now free-flowing. However, in the opposite direction, Midrand, N1 northbound, we still have heavy delays. This is between the Butlu interchange and New Road. Pulls off traffic sluggish on Witkoppen Road between Main and Rivonia Road. And finally in Bryanston, traveling towards Four Ways, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a lady who's made a resolution to love herself more and put herself first this year. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new chapter on the move. Happy New Year to every story on the road. You're the reason the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So we're going to play some songs in a moment. Before we get to music, though, I just want to do one more little comment on noise, because earlier in the show, and I'm sure you heard it, if you didn't, just to remind you, we had a wonderful voice note where you heard the little hooter, the poli, one of those bicycle hooters in the background, and nice input from Karabo Chali, was just saying from that background noise you could tell where the person was. And people have been calling in and sharing details of what the kind of soundtrack, not quite the soundtrack, but the background noise is to the area where they lived. I mentioned the fact that at a distance I can hear the lions in the Joburg Zoo. But Patty hears this much more clearly, and she's got a great story. Here it is. She says, "We lived in Saxonwold near the zoo and were used to the lions roaring. But we had a very alarmed visitor from the UK who believed the story of lions roaming the streets when he heard them one evening when we were sitting outside. Nope, they are safely inside the Joburg Zoo," Patty's guess. Probably too late. I assume he or she has long moved on. 702 Drive. Let's talk music now. The many issues going on in the United States under the Trump administration have focused very much on the city of Minneapolis, and Bruce Springsteen, who has clashed a good number of times with the president, something of a war of words between them. The insults have gone back and forth. On the one hand, Springsteen referred to him as a corrupt, incompetent, and said the U.S. was in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration. Trump's responded by calling Springsteen a dried-out prune of a rocker. But Bruce Springsteen makes his music, and I guess echoing one of his songs that won him an Oscar, but also was part of raising awareness around HIV/AIDS in the United States, was Streets of Philadelphia. He's now come out with a song written over this past weekend, so done very much in the moment and very promptly, called Streets of Minneapolis, where two Americans have been shot by immigration agents. I just call them that. I'm sure you've heard the term ICE, referring to where they're employed. But it raised a very interesting question that we were chatting about a little bit before the show, and maybe you, while you listen to the boss's new offering, you may want to think about this yourself. Is there a protest song? I don't particularly like that term protest song, but let me just flesh it out slightly and say a song that deals with issues dear to your heart that you like, not just because you like the music and the tune and maybe even the lyrics, but there's something there that reached out and grabbed you as well because of the issues that it focused on, highlighted, and tried to, in some ways raise energy around. So we'll start with Bruce Springsteen while you're listening. Your thoughts, please send us a song that's around a cause of some kind that you particularly like for whatever reason. Send me that on 072 702 1702, Streets of Minneapolis.
Through the winter's ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, a city of flame fought fire and ice neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce the law, or so their story goes. Against smoke and rubber bullets in the dawn's early light, citizens stood for justice, their voices ringing through the night. And there were bloody footprints.
So not for the first time, Bruce Springsteen making his views known through his music. Songs about causes, protest songs if you want to call them with that shorthand. Ones that you like, if you like them, tell us why. The music, was it the cause itself? Give us a ring on that on 072 702 1702. We'll play a couple of them shortly.
Stranger in our midst. Here in our home they killed and robbed.
Africa Milani,
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Are you previewing a holding of the repo rate as is at the moment, or are we likely to see a 25 basis point rate cut this afternoon, do you think?
I think it's going to be a very tight call, but I do think that the majority of the members will vote for a rate cut later this afternoon. Hopefully we see some welcome news, 25 basis point decline. It's not guaranteed, as is any monetary policy decision, but I do think there's scope for them to cut this time around.
Lisette Isel de Skeper is a senior economist at the Bureau for Economic Research.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
This weekend, 31 January, BYD invites you to drive the dream because progress should be drivable. From your first car to growing your family or just wanting to explore the open roads, there's a BYD designed for your journey. Join BYD dealerships nationwide and stand a chance to win one of 10 BYD Dream Experiences to the value of 20,000 Rand. BYD is powering your journey 1 kilowatt at a time. Book your test drive at the nearest BYD dealership. BYD, build your dreams. T's and C's apply.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you pay with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, Northrise FSP and credit provider, NCRCP 20, T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
Do you suffer from migraines? Have you been previously diagnosed by a doctor and treated for migraine? Ask your pharmacist about previously prescribed migraine treatments that are now available without prescription. Brought to you by Sandoz.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
How's John? Nice show. It's Faisal here. I think the song for me is Johnny Clegg Asibonanga. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, John. A song that is very close to my heart that surrounds human rights issues and all of that is Redemption Songs by Bob Marley. It's an old song, but I feel like a lot of us still resonate even today. So yeah, Sibo from Pretoria.
sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can.
Bob Marley, Redemption Song. Masterpiece sends us this. My song would be Lucky Dube, Slave. And this one from Lolly. I'd forgotten about this. Let me just give you Lolly's message. Sing song about those who disappeared in South America is titled They Dance Alone, released on his 1987 album Nothing Like the Sun. It's a poignant protest song, Lolly writes, dedicated to the Chilean arpilleristas, if that's correct. Mothers, wives and daughters who dance the traditional Cueca dance alone, holding pictures of loved ones disappeared by the Augusto Pinochet dictatorship. Let's hear a few more of your suggestions.
Hi, John. Papa here from Lenesia. I think the song, it would be, is it Joanne or Give Me Hope by Dr. Victor. It has a message. It has a history that I think we all know. Yeah, Papa here from Lenesia.
Hi, John. My song would be Zimbabwe from Bob Marley, and it was written about democracy. You know, every man has the right to, basically choose his own destiny. Shivers in Boksburg.
Struggle, 'cause that's the only way we can overcome a little trouble. Brother, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're so right. We gon' fight, we'll have to fight,
Yeah, Bob Marley getting a lot of votes. Kilipile says Imagine by John Lennon. Nyan, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. By U2. And then Irene, this is a classic South African tune in this particular genre. Mike also made that suggestion, by the way. Bright Blue with the song Weeping. I remember a little while back we did an interview with Peter Cohen, who's one of the people, the drummer in the band Bright Blue, and had some really interesting stories to tell about that song. I'm sure you could still pick that up on the internet. Mark, I still love Aluta Continua, the song by Miriam Makeba, although it makes me sad that the aspirations were not realized. What else? Lots of suggestions coming in. Jay Williams, Sweat. The line in that song goes, "Come on, South Africa, you know that you are wrong." I do not know that song. Let's hear another one, though, of your voice notes.
Hello, John. This is Jacques from Johannesburg. My song is Pico by Peter Gabriel. Great show. Thank you very much.
Hello, John. What about Joan Baez's version of The Night They Drove Dixie Down? Wonderfully powerful song.
This is the last song. Thank you. You've been a true delight. Virgil Kane is my name, and I drove on the Danville train. was 65. We were hungry, just barely alive. I took the train to Richmond, it fell. It was a time I remember oh so well. The night they drove old Dixie down, and all the bells were ringing. The night they drove
Originally recorded by the band, written by the band leader Robbie Robertson. Joan Baez's version of The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. Quite a lot of reference to the late but much loved Lucky Dube. We thought we'd find some of his music and play out with that.
Somebody told me about it when I was still a little boy. He said to me, "Crime does not pay." He said to me, "Education is the key." Yeah. As a little boy, I thought I knew what I was doing.
Lucky Dube bringing us to the end of 7:02 Afternoon Drive with me, John Perlman, for today. We are, of course, back at 3 o'clock. Lots of radio, though, between then and now, starting with The Money Show, coming up in just a moment. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, a Pan-African bank that's invested in your story, because your story